I have no expectations, and I hope I give you what you are expecting, because I don't know what to expect.
I don't know that I have any expectations either, other than to have this delicious monster. Did you want one?
No, thanks.
Okay. So, this is the maiden voyage of the podcast room.
Do you have a name for your podcast?
I have some ideas, but I haven't officially picked one yet.
It's like when you name your children. You don't want to tell people until you picked, because then you get these biased. Yeah, I get it.
Well, and I don't want to do like the Joe Rogan experience, you know, like I don't want it to be my name.
Well, your name's not Joe Rogan, so
exactly. Maybe if it was, I'd be okay with that. But so I don't want to just, I don't want to be the Morgan Hess podcast. That sounds horrible to me.
Do you play the piano? You could do like Morgan's organ. Then their intro could be some kind of piano.
Like baseball organ music.
So
I don't know, and so I don't know. I've got it narrowed down to some. I use some AI to help me think of some good names, and
nice.
I have a few, and I have a logo that I really like, and so I'm just trying to decide if the name is going to fit enough with the logo that I want to do it.
Are you trying to keep it regional, or are you trying to keep it so that you're not pigeonholing yourself?
Yeah, not necessarily. My main focus in starting this is to benefit Sanpete County to start with, and then eventually maybe the state of Utah if it ever got that big, but we have some resources that we could leverage for statewide stuff.
Yeah.
So I want it to grow. I don't have any aspirations to go beyond Sanpete County. This is really, really the biggest reason is just I want to get information to people in Sanpete.
So that means if you're doing it legit, you got to be consistent. So do you have a cadence that you're going to be doing these?
Like to release videos and stuff?
Yeah. You're like once a week, once a month, once a day.
So it'll be, they're probably going to be kind of long. Like I don't want to do short, I want it to be like at least an hour probably, and then maybe up to like 3 at most.
Well, if you did that, then if you did like a weekly cadence, you could do like short drops from that podcast daily.
Yeah.
So that might work.
Yeah, we could.
I don't know anything about podcasting. I'm just guessing right now, but
right. Yeah. And I'm not really up on it all either, but that my idea right now is I want to get 3 recorded, and I'm going to drop all 3 at the same time. That'll be my first release of podcasts. And then after that, it'll go to, I think once a week is what I'm going to try and keep, but I might record more often than that and then just release them. The only time I might do more will be if it's like the election coming up, like there's 10 people that are running for Fairview City City Council, and 10 between now and November is a lot. Like if I'm going to do anybody else, I won't be able to release anybody else but those,
Yeah.
So
well, while you were talking, I just thought of the name.
Yeah.
The Sound of Fairview, or the Fairview Sound. So you're playing off of sight and sound.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. That's
one of them I've really considered was Outpost. The Outpost.
Oh yeah, I like that.
That wasn't too bad, but I don't know.
Yeah, don't say any more until you decided, because otherwise you're gonna get some bias like, oh, that's dumb. You're like, oh, but I really like it. But then when you come out and say this is what it is, dumb or not, that's what it is. So.
Yeah. And that's ultimately what I think is, it doesn't matter what the name is.
Sure.
If it's a good podcast, people will listen. So
sure.
I can name it nothing.
And proof of that is my name is Lloyd. Could have been Tom.
Yeah.
I tell John all the time, the only difference between Tom Brady and myself is the family I was born into. So if I would have been born into his family, I'd probably been a Hall of Fame quarterback as well.
Probably. Or maybe a Hall of Fame baseball player, because I know you still play softball.
Just kidding. Yeah. Anyway.
So tell me about growing up, Lloyd. What was that like?
About me?
Yeah, about you.
Oh. So not business, just like...
We'll get to that.
Ugh. Well, I don't
want
know.
people to know where you came from and like...
Oh, these are questions better left for Katie. She probably knows more about my past than I do. One of the things that's like a blessing or a curse, however you look at it, I have a short memory, and so I tend not to. Yeah, people. I've got a really good friend that I grew up with who's always talking about the good old days. Oh, do you remember this? I'm like, no, I really don't. Like I don't know if I blocked it out or if I just. Anyway,
you just ran through the information so fast it's going right through.
Yeah, but growing up, like I don't know. Pretty stereotypical maybe, or maybe not. I don't know. my dad passed away when I was little, so I guess that's unique. We moved around a lot when I was growing up. My mom, I think I counted, we lived in like 17 different homes before I graduated high school.
Dang.
And like 6 or 7 of them were in Annabelle. So like the same town. So it's like,
and Annabelle's a small town.
Yeah. Annabelle's like Fairview. It's,
yeah.
There's nothing there except the post office and a city park.
Right.
So I guess it's closer to Spring City. It's like people go there because it's out of the way, but it's a nice area for Sevier County.
Right.
Yeah. So I grew up, I had 2 younger sisters that I grew up. So my mom, me, and my 2 younger sisters, got involved with school stuff. I tell Katie all the time and she gets mad, but my wife, I didn't really excel at anything, but I could hold my own at pretty much everything. So I don't feel like I was like cutting edge or bleeding edge with anything that I was doing, but I also don't feel like I was at the bottom of the barrel.
Right.
So I just kind of like C student. I was better than a C student, but kind of that average, like
right, yeah.
Whatever. But
hobbies as a kid?
I don't know. I think the only thing that I did is played sports, but I don't really know, like not until high school. In fact, that's a conversation that I have right now because our kids are so little and they're getting so involved with sports at this young age. It's like, I didn't really get involved with sports until high school. And so and then in high school, I played football and I wrestled and I played baseball. And then today, if I was to say that there's something that I do, I enjoy pickup basketball. Don't play it as much anymore. But then the only thing that I've kind of held on to still is probably softball or old man's baseball, I guess, because men can't play baseball anymore, but we play softball.
Right. Which it's popular in San Pete, so that's a good one to
get
involved with, right?
I mean, as far as extracurriculars, that, and then just business work, I've really found that I enjoy the game of entrepreneurship. Maybe that's it. Maybe I just like to compete in things, whatever the thing is, I guess. But, yeah.
So no other real, like you weren't like into woodworking or anything like that, nothing along those lines.
No, took shop class. I don't think I did very good at it. Yeah, no.
Cool. And then, so after high school, you went on a mission?
Served a mission. Yep.
Right after?
I worked. So growing up, like I said, it was just my mom and me and my 2 younger sisters. And so we didn't really have a lot growing up.
Right.
And so, a lot of the burden, at least at the time, the burden of paying for my mission fell to me.
Mm-hmm.
Not squarely on me, but the bulk of it. So I waited, because back then, seeing this goes back to my memory. Did we serve when we were 19 or 20?
Yeah, 19.
21. We got home when we were 20.
You had to be 19. The girls had to be 21 when we were going back then.
And now it's 18 and 19, right?
Yeah. Because when did you graduate?
97.
97. Okay. So this would have been like you went out in like 99.
Yes. Yep. That's what. So yeah, my was 99 to 01.
Okay.
The Y2K.
Yep.
End of the world.
You ended the world in Mexico. Right?
I was in Mexico. Puebla, Mexico. Yep. Okay. We bordered the Mexico City East Mission.
Nice.
Yeah. So I served there. And then when I came home, I went to SUU to college. And that's where I met Katie, my wife. And
but you had already started entrepreneurial things by this time in your life, right?
So in college, when I got back from my mission, I got sucked into the door knocking, like alarm sales.
Right. Because that's every missionary gets approached at least with that.
In Utah, yeah, it's it's common. So yeah, I guess I would say that was because after high school, when I was working to save money to go on my mission, I roofed. I was a roofer.
Oh, okay.
And so I roofed for that year and a half, however long it was. So yeah, just hard work. I wasn't
like, I've done every roof I ever want to do ever in my life ever again.
Well, it's different than Dan, because Dan does home roofs. This company I worked for, we did commercial roofs. So like Walmarts and like schools.
Oh, like flat tops.
So the big flat roofs with the white membrane.
Gotcha.
So we're more screwing down the insulation and then laying out the rolls and then welding them, heat welding them together.
Heat welding them, yeah. Okay.
So it was more that kind of.
That's actually better, I think.
Yeah, it was fine. And I worked for a company out of Salt Lake, but because I lived where I lived, I was already traveling. And so I was the the crew that they sent everywhere. So I was like, we would do Cedar City, and we were in Vernal a lot for whatever reason. But yeah, anytime that they had a job that wasn't in Salt Lake area, they would send me and my buddy, because I worked with my buddy. It was his uncle, I think, that we worked for.
Gotcha. Okay, so troop roofing up to your mission, and after your mission, you got into sales.
Yep, door-to-door sales, alarms. We did that for almost 10 years, or 10. I think I did it for 8 seasons, 8 summers, or 9, and then I had a gap.
I was gonna say, it seems like there was a gap where, like, that was when you moved here.
Yeah,
it was during the gap. Then you went and sold again, right?
Yeah, because when I met Katie, we got married, and we were at that stage of our lives because we were both single. Obviously, you don't have anything holding you down, and we were talking about wanting to go visit someplace, and Alaska was on the list. And I was like, oh, let's go visit Alaska before we move home or do whatever we're doing. And then that's when the light bulb went off. I was like, well, I've sold forever, and there's an office in Alaska. Why don't we go sell? We can spend the summer instead of just a couple weeks. And instead of spending all of our money, we'll make some money. Anyway, so that's kind of, after that gap year, we did Alaska. And then the year after that, Katie got a taste for it. She's like, oh, this is nice, because she got to stay
and travel and look at things.
Travel and see different places and sit at the pool while I would be out working, right?
Right.
And then she's like, oh, let's go somewhere else. And so then we went to Hawaii the next year. And then we called it quits after that. I actually would have gone another year because they opened up an office in New Zealand.
I was just going to say, it's too bad there wasn't, like, an office in Guam or something.
Yeah, I was like, New Zealand. I was like, hey, so I contacted the manager, but they were wise to the summer sales guys. They're like, well, you got to commit to a year. I was like, oh, I'm not interested in committing to a year.
Yeah.
And so we didn't end up doing that. But then we moved here and started Katie had been doing her photography in the off season, and it was growing.
And during the off season, you didn't live in Stampede. Where was it? Cedar City?
So I had a house. We lived in St. George when we got married.
Okay. I knew it was somewhere south. I couldn't remember for sure.
Yeah. So when I was on my mission, my family moved. My youngest sister graduated high school when I was getting ready to come home. Mm-hmm. And then my family had moved to St. George. So when I was coming home, in fact, I had my flight to come home to come back to Annabelle. Mm-hmm. And then I got notified that they had moved to St. George, so they had to change my flight to St. George.
Notified that your family moved.
Yeah.
That was on a mission, though, back then at least. That's how it was.
I know, yeah. How did they get the communication? Because it wasn't like email or calls like we do now.
Yeah.
It was like you'd write a letter, and it would take a month to pouch.
Yeah.
It would take a month or 2 weeks at least to get to you, and then respond 2 weeks. So it's like a month turnaround time.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you'd read the response from the last time, and everything had changed.
Right.
So you're like, oh, I forgot that happened. Now with email, it's like, dear mom and dad, dear mom and dad.
Yeah.
You
and
instantly know.
Aubrey's like, she gets to call home every birthday, and she's got a big family. So she's like calling home all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, it's different.
It is different. What was your favorite part of Mexico about serving, like the time you served there? I know you've been to Mexico a bunch of other times, but favorite part about serving in Mexico?
On my mission?
Yeah.
So, I think the mission, so that's the first, like, you live at home, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're always, like, you're under your family wing, right? Like, you don't really have to make decisions for yourself. You don't really have to think other than this is the thing you're doing, so go do the thing. Like, you're now doing this sport, so go do this sport. And these are the things that are involved with going to this sport. So mission's like the first time that you're really out on your own, right? And I don't know, I guess either growing up or how I assumed that all missionaries were like I assumed all missionaries were, meaning that they were trying to be obedient and trying to work hard and trying to further the work and do all the things that in my mind a missionary was doing, right?
Right.
And then I get out there and I find out that missionaries are like everybody else. Some are better than others, and some are.
You got that one companion on PDA that turns on regular music and is like cleaning the apartment with regular music playing.
Yeah, or the ones that are looking for shortcuts or like, oh, we don't need to leave so early or whatever.
Right.
And so for me, I guess my biggest takeaway was just I realized about myself that I like to work. And in fact, that was the thing that got me the most in trouble on my mission, is because I didn't necessarily if I was teaching the discussion and it was curfew, I would continue teaching the discussion past curfew.
Right.
And I don't know what it is about my mission president or my APs, but there was multiple times that they would catch me or be waiting for me at my apartment coming home after curfew. And like, where were you, Elder? I was like, teaching. And so I kind of got branded this, I don't want to say rebellious. I don't know if that's fair, but just kind of like, and I think part of the problem was my mission had gone through, some of my companions had gone through 2 mission presidents before my mission president.
Okay.
So they were on their 3rd mission president.
Right.
So the mission was kind of unruly. I mean, that sounds bad, but it just needed to be more organized or regulated better, right?
Yeah.
So my mission president came in as that guy. And so he was very like letter of the law. Like his favorite scripture was like, when Adam gave sacrifices to the Lord and the angel asked him, why are you giving sacrifices? Adam says, I know not, save the Lord commanded it. He's like, just be obedient, Elder. Like that was always his, because I'm out teaching. He's like, and they bring that up and he's like, be obedient. So
Right.
I understand now looking back, like what he was trying to do and wrangle everything in. But I feel like I was the one that was still kind of pushing back against that because I wasn't trying to be disobedient.
Yeah.
I was trying to do my work, do a good job and work hard.
Yeah.
And anyway, so as far as favorite thing, I don't know if there's a favorite, but as far as thing that stuck out to me, it's like just work.
Yeah.
And it's carried over into now. It's the same conversation that I have with other people. Like, why do you work so much? Or why do you work? I'm like, because I like it. I feel like that's what we're here for. We're built to work. Like, what's the alternative?
Well, and you married into like the perfect family because the Andersons always say family time is working time.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
I've always known that. Like, you think about like as a kid growing up, right? Your whole existence is to like try to make your parents proud. Maybe not the whole existence, but like a little kid is always looking up to mom or dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, did I do it? Look, dad, look. They try to make you proud, right? And then you turn into your teenage years. Now it shifts kind of from your parents to like, okay, how am I going to fit into the social norms with my friends? And you kind of care more about your friends. But realistically, that's like 20 years. And then after that, you're supposedly out of the house, at least in the culture that we have now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, talk about that if you want.
Right or wrong, yeah.
But that's kind of the way that it is now. It's like, okay, you've graduated. Now you need to be out on your own, provide for your family, start a family, blah, 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 all this other stuff. And so I don't know why, but from it, like early on, I just kind of realized that the most people, the people you spend the most time with are the people you work with. Because from like 20 till, I mean, you can pretend you retire, but retirement, anyone that says they're retiring, it's just, to me, that's like a red flag of they're just doing something they don't like doing. They're counting down the days until they can stop doing so that they can really focus on what they're doing. And they don't call that work, they call it retirement, but it's still work, right?
Yeah.
So the bulk of your life you're going to be spending, and I've always tried to, I don't know, and maybe my perspective is changing a little bit, but it's always been like, if you're forced to be with people, why not choose the people that you're forced to be with?
Right.
Like, why not try to pull people that you like being around into your work circle? Because that's where you spend all of your time.
Yeah.
Like, you can look at normal families, like, I can't go to your play today, sweetie, because I got to work, right? Like, you're being tugged from your family by work. And so you try to figure out, okay, when I'm not working, your family gets your time. But then where does that leave everyone else? Like your immediate family, oh, we'll see you on holidays. Or your friends. It's like, again, you've got to
every other year.
Yeah, it's just hard. So that's kind of been my focus. So like you said with the Andersons, like work time is family time. Like I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. It's like we're spending our time together. Let's figure out how to work together. And then now, instead of trying to figure out how to spend time together, you're just together because you're working together. You're building something, whatever that is. And I say work, people think that means you're trading dollars for things. That could be one definition of it, but it doesn't have to be. Like stay-at-home moms, right?
Yeah.
Work harder than probably anybody. It's still work.
Yep. Yeah.
But anyway, we have these like shortcut words, which we say a word and then we assume that we're talking about the same thing. And sometimes we're not always talking about the same thing, but
yeah.
Anyway, I just feel like work is
and
the point.
I feel like anybody who knows you knows that your ideas of like work and social norms for what professional life is like knows that that's not how you treat professional lives. Like you don't look at it like it's a 9 to 5 and it's at an office and you're going to do these things and stuff. Like the dream or the nightmare, however you want to look at it, of what we've been fed for so long in America as you get an office job and you work, the set hours and you get the set money and you come home and you have the set time with your family and the set retirement and all that stuff. That's not the case. That's not the case for anybody ever.
That's not been my case ever.
And
I work for free a lot. If
Yeah.
we're basing it off of those criteria, I
Right,
spend
right.
most of my time working for free.
But at the same time, you are successful at a lot of the things you've been looking at doing or that you've done, and you have the ability to provide for your family, and so you're checking the boxes correctly of like what the end result's supposed to be. It's just the way that you're obtaining it is different. And I agree with the thought process of we shouldn't be controlled by a corporate just assumption of what life's supposed to be. But one thing I've noticed, to your point, is now that I do work in that corporate life, it's the first time, like this job is like my first real corporate job. But now that I'm in that life, I see so many people that it's like you go to a company that you're talking to and they're like, yeah, we've worked together for 15 years, but we came from another company prior to this and we brought, he brought us with him. Or, it's like you're saying, like you gather people that you want to work around.
Yeah.
And then as you go from company to company or whatever, they follow you. Like, so I hired on and I was in the National Guard and prior to this. And when I hired on, there was two people from the National Guard there, one that I didn't really know and one that I knew well. And now there's 5 people that I worked with and one really closely that have moved from the National Guard to the company I'm at now.
Oh, nice.
And so like, I totally get, like, I think people naturally want that of let's bring the people that we want to be around to work, because that's how like you're saying, you're going to spend the most time with them. You're going to be spending time with them 30 hours a week minimum.
Yeah.
And that's more than your kids get a lot of the time.
That's what I'm saying. That's the bulk of your time.
Yeah. So
and I've always tried to orchestrate that to try and figure out, and I'm not the best at it, obviously, but it's something that I'm targeting, that I'm trying to do. And it's blown up in my face a few times. Like
Sure.
I've had good relationships that we've tried to do it, and then for whatever reason, differences of opinion turns into something that's not great. But
what I've noticed with it is it seems like when you try and bring a friend into a business, it's a hit and miss on whether you're going to get it to work. But when you make a friend in business, then it seems like you guys have the right mindset to mesh together to work.
Yeah.
To make things function, And then you get that like occasional unicorn setup where you have like a friend that's also like-minded in business. You just don't really know because you haven't done business together yet. And then you can work together and everything's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I was talking to Shar, actually, I think Megan in the gym, we were talking, and that came up. It's like, it's cool that you can work with your family and you guys can make it work. Cause to your point, it's not easy. And I've reflected on it a lot to try and figure it out. Like why, like John, for instance, my brother-in-law, like why we've made it work or been able to make it work when we haven't been able to make it work with everybody. And it kind of boiled down to, we both come from the same alarm background, which just allows us to have more reps at the things that business requires than most people. And the thing that I was talking to Katie, my wife, about, I'm like, it's not that dissimilar from like a family, like a relationship. So I was like, imagine Katie, my wife, imagine me and her, we get married, we have a kid, right? When you have your first kid, you think about your where you are mentally. Like, we're going to baby proof the house. We're going to bubble wrap the kid. If I go over a speed bump too hard, it's going to break the kid's neck. Right. Like all these things that you think of as a first parent. And so you're treating that child in accordance with the way that you believe that child should be treated. Right. Then you have your second kid. And then what happens? It gets a little bit lax. You have your third kid. It gets a little bit lax. By the time you have your fourth kid, it's like he's sucking on a rock. It's like, okay, it looks like it was dry, right? Or anyway, there's 1,000 things, right? But you get my point. It's like, as you have more kids, you change and you evolve. And all that is you've gone through the reps. And so then I'm like, okay, well, if Katie and I were to get divorced at that point, and Katie finds somebody else who has never had kids and jumps in at kid number 4 and is like, yeah, your 2-year-old is playing with your infant child, or whatever it is, right? Whatever the scenario is, he's going to react differently because he's still at stage 1 because he hasn't had as many reps. Yeah. And that could cause conflict in a normal relationship, right? Totally. And I feel like that's kind of how business is, at least a simplified way of me being able to kind of understand it to that point. What, like with me and John, for instance, is we've gone through the reps, and when I brought in certain friends, to your point of like-minded, and we find each other together, it's like most of the people looking back that I brought in are still on kid 1, and we're already on kid 4, and we're like,
Right.
this is how business should be. This is what we're doing. And they're like, no, that's not how it is.
Right.
And then they're still, because they haven't gone through the reps, they haven't done enough of it. And then, but the problem with business, because there's not really a huge incentive to keep pushing through the pain, kids, you have no choice.
Yeah.
It's like they're yours, like happy, sad, mad, and whatever it is. Like, you're not going to kick them out on the street and be like, see you later. It's like, you figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's most business. I think a lot of people in business, they just get to the point where it's like, this is harder than I thought, and I want to throw my hands up, but I have a kid and I can't. Business, you can throw your hands up and just stop.
Right.
And reverse back, right? Regress back. And I think that's kind of at least one of the ways that I've looked at it, as far as to your point of like, either knowing that going in and being like, okay, this person is probably at a point where they're not going to, we just have to approach it differently, right? Like we have to ease you into it, or you need to go somewhere else and put in the reps to get to the point where you're like, okay, I get it. Like I'm ready.
Right.
But anyway.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you see that with like, not to just keep bringing up the military, but like in military service, especially after World War II, you saw a bunch of these guys come home that knew how to build things as a team and work together and had been through everything together, you know, and so it created this, you know, this business flourishment that lasted through America for a long time. And it's actually
100%.
documented, you know, on how much that affected it. And so, you know, I think I think you're very right. Like when you have a common background that you can both lean on, and you both, and it wasn't easy, you know, because I don't think door-to-door sales are easy. You know, military service obviously isn't always easy. And so like that builds that relationship where it's like, hey, we've been in the crap together, so we kind of get it. So I know who you are, and I know how you're going to last under the pressure.
Yeah.
You know, but when you're on, like you're saying, when you're on your 4th business kid or whatever, you know, and someone else is on their 1st, you don't know how they're going to crack or crumble or take it when they go from 1 to 2, or if they're even going to be able to make it from 1 to 2. So it makes it hard to like pick and choose who you're going to be able to have lasting business and friendships with in that aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think there's a lot of those things that correlate. I think we get, at least in this, I can only speak about me and my experience, right? The best advice I was ever given is never give advice. Because you don't know what other people are going through, right? Like the only thing you can do is share your lived experience, and then people can take with it from what they want or whatever. But for me, it's like, I used to feel like, and maybe I do still to a certain extent, is like everything's siloed. It's like family life is siloed and completely different than military life and work life and sports life and hobby life, like whatever it is. But I think there's so much crossover that we don't even realize if we take the time. That's why I said, when I looked at it that way, I'm like, oh, it's the exact same. It's different, a different widget or a different avatar, but for the most part, it's the same. And we're willing to put up with it over here, but we're not willing to put up with it over here. And maybe we're not willing to put up with it over here because we don't have to, whereas over here we have to.
Right.
Or anyway, whatever.
Yeah. No, I get that too. Like everyone always tries to silo things. And I saw it when I worked at the coal mine. That was like the most I ever saw people silo their lives, because at the mine, they'd be a certain way and do certain things. And then at home they were different. And I get it. Like when you're in certain situations, like you become a different person, and you know that. Like I saw it in the military too, whereas like when things got hard, people would change. And then when everything relaxed again, people were back to the way they were, you know, or whatever. And it's just however they handle the stress, or it could be stress from a boss, stress from the work, or stress from the environment, whatever it is. But however they handle the stress of doing what they're doing, it creates a different style of person. And I always looked at it and thought, that's so difficult. Like, just be you, you know, don't change who you are. If you want to have like a little bit of work you at home and a little bit of home you at work, perfect.
Yeah.
You know, like I couldn't have a mind bandwidth in order to have like parallel lives trying to manage things side by side. So yeah, exactly. I don't want to separate it for sports or anything else, but not that I'm into sports, but
sure.
Okay. So sales for like 8 years after you got married, about?
No, after we got married, 2.
2 years after you. Okay, so
Yeah.
8 years after your mission, or 6 years after your
10 years total of
Okay.
being in the alarm game.
mission? Okay.
8 years total on the doors. So
Okay.
2 years. And again, summer sales is a different thing because
Yeah.
I was only doing it during summer. Like
Right.
that's what it was, summer sales. So it was 4 months. So from the time school got out to the time school started for college.
Right.
So whatever those months are, May, June, July, August,
Yeah.
4 months typically is what we would be out. And then the rest of the time, because it was summer sales, you do it during college. So the idea was you go to college and then during the summer you'd work and then you go back, make enough money, and then you go back to college, right?
Right.
Well, when I was out of college, I still did the same thing. So it was still summer. That's when we got married. I wasn't in college anymore and went out for those 4 months or whatever they were.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I came home at that point, I didn't have school. And so we were, when we were living in St. George, we lived in St. George when we first got married. And then about a year after we got married, we had our first kid. So we were in St. George. And then when we were expecting our first child, that's when we moved to Fairview. But we were, I did the door-to-door sales that summer. And then when we came here, we had the off season. Or the
And so
school
the off
season.
season is like 8 months.
Yeah. So it's the school season.
Yeah.
So fall and spring or winter,
Yeah.
spring.
Fall, winter, and spring.
But we came here, but we weren't in school anymore. And Katie graduated in photography.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was like everyone else that does photography. We did it on the side. We didn't need to because I would make enough money during the summer
Right.
to live on. And then that was just to keep her busy, right? So she would do the family pictures, the baby pictures, the wedding pictures, like
Right.
everything that every normal photographer does when they're starting out. All you need is a camera and a computer anymore to,
Right.
maybe not even a computer anymore. Maybe not even a camera, you just need a cell phone. Like,
Yeah.
literally.
Done with cell phones.
yeah. So every one of their dogs is a photographer, but it didn't matter because that wasn't our main source of income. And then when we moved here, we had our first kid. The idea was always, and I don't know if you want to get into this now, like why we're here, but well, we can wait. But anyway, we moved here, and then we'd spent the year. She would do her photography, and then we went out. That was that next year. We went out to Hawaii,
Right.
and then the same thing. We moved back here. Were we expecting our second then? Might have been a little bit after that, but anyway, we moved back here because Katie wanted to be by her family when we were having our kids.
Right.
And yeah.
I feel like, so talking about like how we talked about the corporate world and corporate life and everything and how the economy is set up for what the dream is supposed to be, quote unquote. I feel like summer sales is probably one of the best options to start to be an entrepreneur. Because when you go from college right into like a tech career, and I say tech because that's what I'm in, so that's what I'm familiar with, but you go into a tech career and you go straight from college into your 9 to 5, and it's every day, 5 days a week there's no time off. And so it like captivates people quickly. And then they want to take their time that they have off, their Friday nights and Saturdays and Sundays, to do whatever it is they want to do with their family. And so they never have any time to, like, it's easy for them to not consider being an entrepreneur or starting anything extra because of the overhead of time that it takes. But being able to go do sales, and even if you only make enough to scrape by, it at least gives you some time, and there's a couple other careers like that. Like my brother-in-law's a crop duster, and he's similar concept where he can be gone for a section of the year and make enough money that the rest of the time he can kind of do what he wants. Like I'm not saying that they're loaded rich or anything. I'm just saying like he doesn't have to work every day. And that creates an atmosphere where, because to me, the biggest thing that makes people not want to be an entrepreneur, and I get that it's not for everybody, and there's just certain people that's never going to resonate with, and it's just not going to work for them. But I feel like the biggest thing that stops people or holds them back is, where are you going to get money when you quit? Like, how are you going to guarantee a paycheck? Like, I don't know how many times I've talked to somebody that I've talked to their spouse about doing an entrepreneurial thing, and their spouse is like, I can't see where I'm going to get paid, so I am worried about doing this thing and taking the time. And so I feel like that burden of not having to worry about that and having time available is huge.
Yeah, 100%. And so a couple things. I feel like in your 20s is the best time to do anything. So I got, what's the word? College. And I don't want to say captivated. I was, captured. I got sold on selling, right?
Mhm.
So in my 20s, I spent my time knocking doors and selling, and I learned the skill of sales, which, yes, is an important attribute of entrepreneurship, but it's not the only attribute. And so because I know people to this day that still are, I call it like a whirlpool, where you make so much money in such a short period of time. Because when I got out, and yes, that buffer of being able to be like, I have time to breathe and I have time to figure out what I want to do. But if you don't know how to move into that, I called it it's like the golden handcuffs or this whirlpool. The analogy that I made with the summer sales is because I would make so much money so quickly, then I would go try to get a real job.
Right.
And I'm like, the real job is going to pay me what I would make in like a month or 2 months for the entire year.
Yeah.
And so it became this, like, it screws with your mind, like, especially for me. And I remember when we made the transition of like, okay, we're done selling. What are we going to do next? I don't know. But I had to get in a mental mind frame, for me, at least with what I was doing, of I just have to be okay being poor for the next however many years, because I'm not going to be able to supplement the quick money that I was used to.
Right.
Immediately. Right. Cause it's like,
I see what you're saying.
So that was and like I said, it's a hard trap. If you're good at it, it's a hard thing to get out of. And like I said, I still got buddies that are still doing it because they can't get out of it, because they can make so much money so quickly. And then what ends up happening is when they have more time, they spend more time doing the thing, which means they make more money, but they're siloed in the sales. And there are some that break out, and it's fine. But yes, I would say sales is a crucial component to doing your own thing. Cause that's business. You've got to provide a service or provide a widget or provide a product to somebody, and they have to voluntarily say, I want the thing that you're providing.
Yep.
And then they trade money, right? That's capitalism.
Yep.
It's like this voluntary trade.
Yep.
You have a thing that I want. I'm willing to give you my dollars for that thing voluntarily. And it's great. It's the best place in the world. Right.
Yeah.
But to get to that point, it's kind of hard. So when I did my thing and we moved to Fairview, like I said, I kind of had a network while I was selling. I would meet with some guys and we did some investing, which was more hands off. I'm now more hands on because I got burnt, where I would raise money and trust money to other people, not really knowing what they do, but then they would give us a return, right? So kind of like investing, but not really knowing what the investing was. I could go raise money because I could sell. So I could get people to invest in this certain thing that we were investing in. But then that was like 2008, which when the economy crashed.
Super awesome year.
Yeah. So money was great. Like when the cash machine was spitting out money, it was fine. Like it was good. And I was involved with these groups. But my network was not in Fairview. It was mostly St. George, the people that I was rubbing shoulders with. And this was before the whole work remote thing became a thing, right? Yeah. So it's like, if you're wanting to work with people, you're with the people that you're working with.
In person.
So when we made the shift up here, when, like I said, when we moved up to Fairview, when we started having our kids, it was always a temporary move. It was never going to be permanent. It was just like, okay, I'm selling in the summer. We can do whatever the heck we want the rest of the time. So we come home, have our first kid. Katie we stayed here the summer. She did photography on the side, wanted to go sell again. So we went to Hawaii that next year, came back, could do whatever the heck we wanted. And then when it was time for us to leave, we were expecting our second kid. And so then that's when she's like, okay, well, I guess we'll stay while we're having the second kid. It doesn't make sense to leave and come back. So we'll just stay. And then by the time I was ready to leave again, and by leave, I mean go someplace closer to work with the people that I was used to working with to do the...
Not leaving for selling, but leaving for
off-season. Leaving Fairview work to go try to do my career, right? Like, what am I going to do if I'm going to get out of the sales? And I needed to be around those people. Anyway, but then by the time it was time to leave again to go move away from Fairview, we were expecting our third. And then at that point, it was like, okay, is this move temporary or permanent?
Right.
Because if it's permanent, at this point, Katie was doing well with photography. She was kind of built a name for herself. I mean, it's a small town. So it's, if you're deliberate about what you're doing, it's not really hard to create a name for yourself, I don't think. And she was very deliberate. So people knew her. She grew up here. So it was easy to kind of drum up business that way. But we were at a point where she either needed to slow down and stop bringing on clients because we were too busy and we were getting ready to leave, or we needed to find a bigger space because at this point we were just working out of our house.
Right.
And find a bigger space so that we could bring people on. And anyway, we looked around. I remember when this happened, we were having this conversation. We just got our taxes back. And so I had some money and I was like, oh, there's a building in Mount Pleasant that Katie loved. She's always like, oh, it's so good. It's just this grand building, right?
Right.
It's
Part of
off the road. It's part of the old school.
Yeah.
And it just looks iconic because you can't help but notice it as you're passing by. It's made out of the same rock that the Manti Temple is made out of. So it's just a cool building, right? And yeah, it was part of the old high school, but she's like, oh, I want it. And when I moved here, I didn't know the history of the building, but when I moved here, the guy that owned it was doing a haunted house out of it. But it was only, at least when I was here, it was only used when they were doing the haunted house, right?
There was a gym that was ran out of there, but it was very lightly used.
Yeah. See, and I didn't know any of that.
Right.
But I wanted to find out because my thought was, oh, we'll go see if we can rent some space because it's a huge building. We'll see if we can rent some space for him. Katie can do her photography studio out of there. We can bring some help on. And then I was like, we're happy to move out in October for that whole month. You do your haunted house.
For the haunted house,
and
right.
we'll move back in, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, we can make it work. So it's not a thing. Well, anyway, when I contacted the guy, I told him, I asked him about it. I said, what are you planning on doing with it? He told me, he's like, actually, we're not doing the haunted house anymore because my business partner that was doing it had a job change. He lived in Vegas, so he was coming up just for that. So he's like, he's not going to be able to come up and do it anymore. And so we're not doing it. And I was like, oh, what are you doing with the building? And then he said, I'm selling it. I moved here from California. I wanted to raise my kids here. My youngest is a senior in high school. So we're ready. She's done and we're ready to move on. And I was like, oh, well, we're interested. not being interested, but I wanted to see it, right? Because I'd never been other than the haunted house. And so anyway, I went and met with him and he showed us around. And that's when I saw the little quasi gym that he had in there. And then that's what did the light bulb moment for me. Cause I mean, the space was way too big. There was no way that we could do it on our own. But Katie's brother, John, had always talked about, I mean, he played college football for Snow and he's always mad that there was no facilities here for people to work out in. And anyway, that he was out selling for Vivint at the time because he was still in the game of the door-to-door sales. And anyway, I called him up. I said, hey, are you serious about doing a gym? Because I found a space. We can't do it on our own, but if you're serious, we'll go in on it with you. You can do the gym out of the basement and we'll do Katie's photography out of the upstairs of the building. And we'll see what we can do. And he said, okay. And
thus 180 Fitness was born.
That was the start of 180 Fitness in 2015, 2016.
Has it been that long?
I think we incorporated in 2015 and then opened January 2016. So
that's crazy.
It'll be 10 years in.
Ago.
Yeah. And that's all it was supposed to be, right? But then it's turned into what it's turned into.
Right.
But anyway,
so this is how you started into photography and the gym. And the gym was kind of to make photography work, right?
Yeah. Well, the space.
Yeah. Like to be able to maintain the space and be able to have something to help supplement income. But now things have kind of shifted. Do you think you do more gym work or more photography work now?
Well, and that's the thing. It's both. It's still because Katie still runs the studio.
Yeah.
And that's still going well. We've shifted our focus with the studio. So again, it used to be what everyone and their dog does. So weddings, babies, families,
right? Yep.
Just the gamut of the normal
The
stuff that people
things,
do.
yep.
Like when you hear photography, you're like, oh, okay. But we've kind of shifted because we had the studio space and because we had help. We shifted more into the things that are not as easy photography, like a single person can't really do. So we did more of the volume side of things. So we started targeting like youth sports,
right,
or dance studios, school photos. So to compete with like Life Touch,
right.
So that's kind of the shift we did. And well, it's a shift now, but when we first did it, we did it to supplement because we were young, we were still hungry. I mean, we still work, but we at that stage in our lives, we were just all about work. Like it was all work.
Yeah.
And one thing that we've noticed is is families, weddings, babies, family reunions, those types of jobs. People call on those. Like the high point of those jobs are nights, weekends, holidays, summer, like all the vacation times, right?
Yeah.
That's when it's high. But then when the school season hit, then there was this lull because people aren't getting married during the school season. Families aren't getting together. It just kind of went like this, right? Like the peaks were all those times that I said, and the lulls were the opposite of that.
Right.
And so then we noticed that school photography, I think Odie, who's now the superintendent at North St. Pete, he's the first school that we did. And he was willing to let us try. And so we did his school, and it went okay. Like it went fine. And then other schools started finding out that we were doing, like people that Katie would go to school with, because nobody really likes Life Touch. I shouldn't say that. Not that they don't like it. They're just so big that they can't really do customer service.
Yeah.
And then they're so big that they have all the schools, mostly their priority of schools is the big ones because there's more kids and there's more money. And then the lower priorities are the rural schools and the smaller schools, which is where we live. Right. And so we felt like we could service those better. And I think we have, but in the beginning, we were just happy to do work. And so anybody that Katie went to school with that was now involved in a school district in Cedar City or in Brigham City or Salt Lake would be like, hey, we're not happy with our photographer. Come do it. We're like, okay. And then we started doing that for the first little bit. But then I soon realized that I was like, I don't like this because we're no better than a Life Touch at this point because we're coming in, doing the thing, and then we're leaving. And we can't service you because you're so far away. Yeah. And so that's when we had the shift. We're like, there's enough schools around where we already live, especially that are being underserved. Because there's schools here that'll tell us all the time, like, yeah, Life Touch won't even come do our school anymore because we're so far away, we're so small, and they've got way too much. Anyway. Yeah, they can fill their time with 5A and 6A schools, and they don't have to worry about, 3A, 2A, or probably even 4A in some areas. Yeah. So anyway, because of that, we've grown it to what we've grown it to, and we can do more. This is the conversation with the studio at this point. We've since shifted because of that. We've since shifted our focus to do only volume. Like she'll still do the other stuff when people ask, but we're not aggressively seeking. Yeah. But she'll still do it if people find us. Right. But the volume stuff is what we kind of like now, because again, it's the exact opposite of what the other was. So now it's during school. So it follows the school calendar. Yeah. And the whole world follows the school calendar. Yeah. With everything. Yeah, with everything. And so it's been great because now we can work when our kids are at school. Right. And then when they're off, because of the school calendar, we can be off as well. So we have our summers back. We have our nights, our weekends, our holidays, like everybody else. Yeah. With the exception of like, if she's doing a youth sports group, those are usually on weekends, but those aren't super. I think she said she's got a pageant that we're doing tomorrow. Oh, okay. So those kind of things come up every once in a while, but not like they used to. And the bulk of what we do now is, like I said, the school stuff, which is great. And we've been doing it long enough now that we're dialed in. And in the very beginning, I was super self-conscious because, again, this goes back to me being naive about everything when I was on my mission, right? Like, oh, everyone's going to be what a missionary should be, and they're going to do what they're supposed to do. I thought the same thing about school pictures. Like, like everything. School districts are dialed in. They know exactly what's going on. They know how business works. They know what they need and why they need it and how they need it. And I've learned that it's just, everything's run by people. And you learned that it's government, just like and us. Nothing is ran like a business in the government. Yeah, well, there's that. And we're now spread across multiple districts. So we see that every district, something that I used to think was like gospel truth of like, you can't do this thing because XYZ. And then this other school district's like, yeah, you can do that thing. We don't care. And so again, that naivety of me of like, no consistency. Rules across, are the same. Yeah. And it just isn't. So anyway, but having said that, I now would put us up against any of the big dogs, because they're not doing anything different or better than us. If they have any leverage on us, it's they have more resources because they've been around longer and probably better systems. I guess I better put back end systems. That. Yeah, back end systems of taking the pictures and delivering pictures necessarily so much as just like how you're bringing the information together
and forming whatever product
and more
it is you're thinking about.
automation and more like
Yeah.
speed
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. Just again, because they have
They
way
can
more
pay for it.
time
Yeah.
and yeah, they've got more budgets. So in fact, if they really wanted to, they could be like, oh, we're going to do school pictures for free for the next 5 years for all the schools that you're doing, put us out of business, and then start charging again. Right. Because
Yeah.
that's just the nature of the Walmarts versus the Terrells,
Right.
like here in town. Right.
Yep.
But anyway, so as far as the studio goes, we still do a lot in that regard. I refer to that as our active business, I guess, because that's
Okay.
Katie's focus.
Yeah.
And we're actually doing the work there still. The gym is the same, except that's more John's. So John's more the face of that one.
Right.
But I mean, we all work together and we all work together, but the gyms, and now, I mean, we could talk about how that's grown into what it is, but we've now got 7 locations.
Yep.
And so the logistics of that is just, it's just different than the studio. Cause the studio, we're treating it like a single mom and pop store.
Right.
Whereas the gyms, we're at this point, we're getting to the point where we're like, okay, I guess we're trying to be a franchise without franchise. We're just a privately held
large gym.
Well,
service.
We weren't, and I don't think we are, but I mean, we're getting to the point where
we're
like
you're starting to be in that, starting to look like you're in that field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in fact, this year, I think we're like, oh, I guess we're in the gym business. Like, okay, I guess we're going to try and keep growing this thing.
It's interesting to see how paths go with things like that, because I mean, obviously, if you can't tell already, the thing that you're into the most is building business. And anybody who's talked to you knows that, because that's all you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Which is completely understandable. But it's just interesting to see, because I remember when you guys started the photography and then we're growing photography, and it seemed like photography was growing substantially. And then once the studio came into play and the gym, it was like the main focus was photography for like the next year or something like that. And then something shifted where it was like, now it's like gym and photography at the same level. And I feel like the gym has taken off more, but it's also got more resources. You know, the gym has a lot more manning and it has a lot more location and stuff. And it's not, because the hard thing with like photography is like, it's just as much of a lot of it is artistic. And if you're going to have a product as an artist, you can't cookie cutter an artist. You know, you can't have like 15 people that are all Katie Gleave taking White Raven photos.
Yeah.
You know, so I understand where like, until you get into like the things like schools and you're just doing volume, you're playing less into the, like more into the memories and less into the picturesque things, then it turns into something that you can make bigger, you know. But so I didn't know how big you could grow the photography before it would kind of tap out naturally.
Well,
so
I mean, I don't think you can tell. We could grow it. I could do the exact same thing with the gym. My problem is it's Katie's, right? So we're growing at the speed of Katie.
Exactly.
And Katie is where she wants to be.
Yeah.
And that's the back and forth, because we still got little ones at home, but we're getting to the point where we've got a good team. We've got a good group of people that are working with us, and we are ready. In fact, I think we added 4 schools. We're always adding schools.
Uh-huh.
I think we added 4 this next year. I think we'll do 30.
Oh, sweet.
This next season, which anybody that's in the industry,
that's a lot.
I mean, yes, but not when you're like Bell is another big player here. They do 600.
Yeah, right.
Eastman, which was the Chicken Man when I was growing up.
Uh-huh.
I think they're up to 200 and something.
Dang.
Life Touch, I mean, thousands. They're the ones who grow. So, but yeah, as far as Utah, I mean, when you look at it that way, we're probably the 4th, just because we're probably the 4th biggest player in the state, which, I mean, you say it like that, but it's just, there's not that much competition.
Right.
And the thing with the photography business, and this is where, to your point, and this is the business piece, right? Because this is me coming from the business mindset and Katie coming from the artist mindset. In the very beginning, this was the battle of the, right? Because she would always, because she would always get mad that somebody that was doing more work than her, this was before we were doing school, like when we were doing weddings specifically, she would always get mad when somebody would do more weddings than her, but do worse work. And that's when I was like, Katie, I hate to break it to you, but you're not in a artist, but you can't tell artists this, right? I'm like, you're not in an artist business. You're in a marketing business. Like, it doesn't matter how good your work is. It just matters that people know that you do the work and then they find you.
Right.
And so somebody who's doing a better job at marketing, so this goes back to the sales piece, right?
Yep.
It's like, if you're good at sales, you will eat. Like, you will get the jobs.
Yeah.
Versus somebody who might be better than you, but doesn't know how to sell. Right.
Yeah.
And so when we made the transition from the artistic stuff to the volume stuff, that mind shift for us, I told her, I'm like, you're going from like a Ruth's Crisp, like fine dining restaurant to a Chuckarama buffet line. Like, that's what volume is.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
The same. You're still eating. It's still food. Presentation's different. The care is different. But you have to, and that was the hardest, that mind shift of like, well, I can't do school pictures, got to be artistic and all this stuff. I'm like, we're doing a different thing.
Yeah.
Like, volume is a different thing. Yeah. And so she's slowly coming around. And to your point with the gyms, it was kind of easier in that regard because there was less, I don't want to say emotional baggage, because I'm sure Katie will listen to this, but less trying to sell the fact that like the business is the business and it's not a reflection on you as a person.
Right.
Which is what artists inherently do, right? They wear their emotions on their sleeves. And that's why anytime that we go into someplace, because from the studio standpoint, we've got me and Katie, I always tell people up front, I'm like, I don't care about the pictures. And I'll tell you that because I don't have to care. She cares about the pictures, and it's great that she does.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to.
Right.
She doesn't care about the logistics side of things, the business side of things. She hates it. She would do this for free. I'm not going to tell you that, but I just did. But those are the two minds, right?
Right. Yeah. Totally.
And so it's, anyway.
And gyms, like there's no, if you can provide a clean, functional space that everyone can use, then you've kind of met all their criteria to have a good gym.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and one of the things that we started to do too is that so we operate our sandbox. So Katie grew up in Sanpete, Fairview, Utah. I grew up in Annabelle, which is in Sevier. So they're bordering counties, right? And we used to say in the beginning, like when we made the shift from doing school pictures everywhere to like, okay, let's focus on where we grew up, because Sanpete has her heart, Sevier has my heart. So we called it, that's our sandbox. That's where we grew up. That's where we care about. It's rural Utah. It's a place that people sacrifice to live here. Everybody sacrifices something, right?
Yeah.
And the sacrifice that we make is money, because we don't want to be in the hustle and bustle of up north, right?
Yep.
And people up there sacrifice their open spaces or a little bit more freedom to
live out there,
to being more economically sound, because there's more opportunity, right?
Right.
You could argue. Where was I going with that?
I don't know. We were talking about the gyms and
so when we started with the gyms, one of the things that we focused on heavily, that we noticed, especially because again, our first one was in Mount Pleasant, right? We started that one from scratch. And the reason that we started our second one, we didn't even start, we acquired our second one, was because we're close to Ephraim, Snow College, right? And people, the thing that we would run into is like, oh, well, I live over there and I'm working over here, but I have a membership over there, but I'm here today and I don't want to pay for 2 memberships. So can I just work out here?
Right. Yep.
It happened enough. And we're like, okay, why don't we see if we can solve that problem? So we contacted the owner, and it took like a year, maybe a year and a half, to finally get it to happen, to the point where he was like, nah, I'm not interested. But then we got to the point where like, well, we keep running into this problem. Let's just build one ourselves. But the area couldn't support it. And we were at the point where we were going to pull the trigger on some land. And I contacted him this one last time, last ditch effort, and said, hey, this is where we're at before I commit 100% to this. Cause once we do this, there's no turning back. I just wanted to see one more time if you're open to us acquiring your location. And he's like, actually, we've been talking about it, and I think we're ready to, anyway. But the whole reason that happens, and one thing that we've noticed in rural small town Utah, is it's hard to do business. And so things that look good on paper for a business in a populated area, they don't look good on paper here because you just don't have the people.
Yeah.
And that's what we've noticed about the gyms that try to start in these little towns, is people have these illusions of like, oh, grandeur, and it's going to be great because I'm going to start a gym and I'm going to do these things. but then they don't realize that the
clientele I need.
overhead and the
Yeah.
expense and the cost, and it's like, okay, am I going to be able to keep the lights on this month? Okay. And that's what we found in all these small little towns. So part of our strategy after acquiring that second one, the same thing happened to the next town, which is Gunnison. It's like, oh, I'm in Ephraim, but I'm working in Gunnison,
Right.
and I'm over there. And so we're like, oh my heck, it just kept snowballing down the road to there, to
Right.
Richfield, to Monroe. But one thing we found is all the gym owners that we were talking to in these small towns were the same. They had second jobs. The gym wasn't their primary focus because they soon found that they were spending way too much time for the return that they were getting, and it wasn't sustainable. And so then they would have their normal job, like their regular job that would provide their lifestyle. And then the gym was just kind of a, well, I want it here for the community type thing.
Yeah.
And so when we took them over, there was kind of a relief on the owners because it's like, oh, great. So now, and then we've got between the 5 gyms in San Pete and Sevier, it's almost like one normal gym. So we
the membership count and
yeah.
everything.
So then it's like we can actually, it works that way. And then we do the one membership, multiple locations and that kind of thing. So it's actually been good, but our focus really with the gyms has always been the same as these other guys that have tried to start them, is we wanted to be able to provide a service for our members. We've always thought that just because we choose to live in a small town doesn't mean we don't like the services of the big towns. It's just harder to pull it off here.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of been our MO. We just try to figure out how to pull it off. And then eventually we were buying some used gym equipment from a gym up north in Payson. And we got talking to the owner and he's like, oh yeah, I took this over because it was failing, but it's not my main business. Same thing. Everyone that does a gym, it's not their main business. And I was like, oh, are you going to keep it forever? What are you going to do? He's like, no, I'm going to sell it. I was like, oh, well, I guess we're in the gym business, because we had no intentions of bridging that gap, because we feel like that's the city, right?
Going to Utah County.
That's different than what we're used to. But he had the Payson and Salem gym, and we talked to him, and I think it took about 1.5 years, but we were able to do that same thing. We bought the gyms from him, and then those gyms, just because there's more people, it's the same business, same model, same everything. It's just in a populated area to where there's more members, and we're like, oh, this is what business is supposed to be like. You have people that can actually support what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then we were able to do here in Mount Pleasant again, we did a field house.
Right.
Because we're probably one of the coldest areas in the state. We keep snow the longest, and the kids, like spring baseball, they don't ever get out on the fields, usually into their first games, and they're usually away games. And so we've wanted a field house forever. City hasn't done anything yet. The school district hasn't. They're trying to right now, which we're crossing our fingers that they can pull it off, because that would be fantastic. And it would be bigger and better than the one we have.
Right.
Ours is about 10,000 square feet, and you think that's a lot until you get in there and start using it.
So it's like a wide open space, and you're trying to play a sport in it.
Yeah, you're like, dang it needs to be a little bit like everything that we do. But anyway, that's kind of always been our MO with the fitness side of things, is just kind of figure it out, try to make it better for everybody, give people a place that you would find somewhere else. And obviously we're still falling short when it comes to like the Vassas or the Gold's gyms, right? Where they come in, or the Planet Fitness, where they'll just come in and say, our gym has to be the same as every other gym. And then they spend however much money they need to make it look the same, to get the same equipment.
Yeah.
And they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to get it up and running in the first place. And we're just like, oh, well, can I buy that used bench from you? Try. We're slowly getting better. We're doing additions. We've done several additions on some current buildings that we have. In fact, we're doing our most recent one we're doing in Ephraim right now.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so the gym business and the studio, but they're different. But business principles are similar and sound, and there's a lot of crossover with that. But if you're to say that the gym business feels like it's overtaking the photography, I would just argue that you're right, just in the sense that we're not dealing with a Katie growing it to her level of comfort.
Well, and I didn't mean that to degrade the photography in any way whatsoever.
No,
I was just simply saying, like, Katie, like, she's the artist.
Sure.
And that's what makes a photography, is her art. And one person can only do so much. And so you can only get so big. You know,
as a solopreneur, yes. Yeah. But I'm more interested in creating businesses. Right. And so that's again another chokehold with that, because the gym, we are turning it into a business, right? We've got a great team. In fact, we just did a leadership training this last week. We pulled in all of our managers and just to try and become better people. I'm working on a brand. I like the 180 Strong. So our gym's called 180 Fitness, but I like the 180 Strong brand. I'm still trying to flesh out how to make it work, but it's the next thing that I want to start pushing, where it's more a commitment on the, like what a strong individual is.
Okay.
And it's based off scripture. So it's not anything that I invented, but I think it's Mark 12:30 and 31. And I don't know it exactly, but it's basically love the Lord thy God. What's the great commandment? Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, soul, and strength. This is the first and great commandment. The second is like unto it, love thy neighbor as thyself. So the idea is those 4 pillars. So if that's how you're supposed to love, with those 4 things, with your heart, with your mind, with your soul, and with your strength. So that's the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual, right?
Right.
So the 180 Strong brand, I want to try and incorporate that to encompassing that commitment to strengthening those 4 pillars for yourself. Like that's the first thing. That's apply the oxymask to yourself before you apply it to somebody else. Right?
Yeah.
Get yourself in order, learning yourself, and then turn it outward.
Right.
And then turn it into service. So the exact same thing, but for others instead of yourself. My philosophy, I like the relationships are the currency of life. And so the better you can be for yourself to better serve others. It's just, I feel like that's what life's about, trying to figure that out. Cause and we live in such a world. I don't think the world is as divisive as people in the imaginary,
in the ether.
Yeah. However you want to, like the media, right?
Right.
It's like the whole, if you watch that, you think the world's burning down. But then I go out to the people that I know and I'm like, oh, it's not the world I live in.
Right.
It's like completely different than, so anyway, I take that with a grain of salt. But as far as like us, I notice like with the fitness side of things, like the gym side of things, people that are in that world will spend a lot of time focusing on what they put in their bodies.
Yeah.
But I don't think they spend as much time focusing on what they put in their minds.
Right.
And that's the mental part, right? And then the emotional part is a whole nother thing, because that's, anyway, and then the spiritual consciousness.
That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
I totally get that. So being in a small town and having businesses that focus on like what I would say is outside of the average required for life things, you know, like, cause there's certain aspects, certain businesses you have to have, like you have to have foods. There's always going to be grocery stores, at least, if not restaurants. Restaurants I still consider kind of to be outside of the necessary for life, you know, and then in small towns, it's pretty required that you have a vehicle. So mechanic shops are always there. Do you feel like that style of business, like a business that is more what you would consider a must-have, is easier in a small town? Or do you think it's the same as running like your gym and photography?
Like service businesses?
Well, just ones that, you know, like you don't have to go to the gym. You can walk or, you know, be a farmer, because there's a lot of farmers that are pretty strong. So like, there's a lot of things that you can do outside of the gym that you don't have to have a gym membership for to stay fit.
Sure.
And there's also like, you can take pictures with your cell phone. So, you know, I do see the value in a gym. I love going to the gym, and I also see the value in professional photography, because there's certain things that I want to have encapsulated forever that I want to have look good, not just me trying to take a selfie real quick, you know? But do you feel like like a grocery store or a mechanic shop or a doctor's office or a dentist or things that are like required for life, is that easier to maintain in a small town, do you think, or does it make a difference at all?
I think there are those certain things that, like if you Google, in fact, I probably did this when I first moved here. It's like, what are the top 20 businesses that every city needs? Right. And all these things that you mentioned are on there to some level, whatever that means, right?
Yeah.
I think as long as you're solving problems for people, there will be and then it's just a question of how quickly and how good you can solve those problems for people. And then there's that voluntary exchange of capitalism, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like with the fitness stuff, you're right. We don't corner the market at all on fitness. There's 1,000 things that you can do to do that mental, that physical strength, right?
Right.
Walking, running, marathons, like you talked about, 1,000 different things.
Yeah.
One thing that I do notice is the trend of we're becoming less. So farmers, there are less farmers than there are office workers, right?
Yeah.
So we're becoming a more sedentary people. So the fact that we even have to think about, and I'm getting older, and now I used to, like when we were younger, right? It's like you could outwork your eating habits. You could outwork all of because you're just going all the time. Like your body is doing what it's supposed to do, and it's outworking your bad habits that you're masking because you're young, right?
Yeah.
You get older, you become more sedentary. All of a sudden, the habits are catching up with you because you're not outworking them anymore.
Yep.
And that's where the gym, as one piece of physical exercise, comes in. And that's why I think people because I'll still run into people like, oh, I have my own home gym, but I still go to the gym because my home gym, I mean, they're limited on space or the amount of upfront cost it would take to get all the equipment that I want. It's going to take me 10 years of a gym membership to even make it worth it.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's all these different things, right? So as far as the gym goes, it's just a service that's being provided. And I think you talk about marketing or sales, like we're in a world where everybody's selling it for us, right? And then it's just a question of, do you have one where you are? Or if you have multiple where you are, why do you choose one over the other? Or if you're not going to, like summertime, gym memberships dip for the same exact reason. It's nice outside. So my exercise goes from running on a treadmill to running in the hills or running on the streets. Yeah. Because the weather permits, right? At least where we live. Yeah. In the further south, like St. George, is probably the opposite.
You probably get them
because it's too hot out there. Photography, it's the same thing. It's not like with what we're doing there, we're solving the problem for the schools because they need pictures for the yearbooks. They need pictures for their ID cards. They need pictures for all the things that they do. And they could try to do it themselves. They could try to have people, because during the pandemic, there was a lot of photographers that try to get real creative with like, take a selfie of yourself. And it's like, hold it this way. Don't do any weird signs. And it didn't work.
They're trying to make the picture look good from Photoshop, basically, but from a selfie.
Yeah. And anyway, it just didn't work. So again, we're just solving a problem for the school. Cause and we run into it all the time. It's like, well, I can get a picture taken, or we already did family pictures. We're like, okay, you don't have to order from us. We're solving the problem for the school. And by extension, we're allowing you to participate in purchasing if you want to.
Yeah. So your customer, like you're looking at your customer as the school, not as much the student, but you're there to serve the student. You hope, like, the part of the reason why you took it is because you want to serve the student also.
Sure. And that's how we make our money, because the schools don't pay us. Right. So we go in voluntarily, and then it's a captive audience. So the school gives us access to their students. And then if the parents want to participate, like I said, in what we're doing, then they order, but they have to order through us because nobody else, they don't have 50 different vendors in there.
Yeah. Right.
So that, in that sense, getting the school as the contract, then yes, that's the first step. But then in order to keep the school, we have to
serve
the parents happy.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, do our stuff for the school, give them everything they want without causing them problems. Cause like I said, a lot of the teachers, they're overworked. This is one thing I always tell the secretaries. I'm like, I'm not trying to add more to your workload because I already know you're already doing more than your fair share. Or there's just a ton that's put on their plate just by, we don't have enough staff. So it falls to you. So if we're giving them another thing to do, then that's a negative experience for them. Right. So we try not to make their jobs any harder. We try to remove as much friction as we can. And then, so as long as they're happy, that's fine. But then on the same token, the parents have to be happy, because if the parents are complaining to the school, then the school's like, okay, well, you're giving me everything I need, but the parents are making it hard for me. So I'm done with you. We'll try someone else. Yeah. So yeah, in that sense, we're definitely serving both people, and we try. And like I said, we've been doing it long enough now. And because Katie is more of an artist first, buffet line photographer second, she does do a good job. Like our pictures, like I said, I'd match them up with anybody that does what we do. And I feel like ours, and of course I'm biased.
Sure.
But I feel like in the beginning, like I said, I was super insecure about it. Like, oh, how do we play with the big dogs? In fact, we didn't know in the beginning a lot of the things that, like a lot of the requirements, like when we first started, it was really hard to compete because, like I said, they had economies of scale and they were doing their own in-house printing, and we were having to send everything out. And by sending everything out, it was costing us more. And so then our margins were a lot less, and we're like, oh, I don't know if we can compete with these guys. So we started bringing our printing in-house so that we could compete. So now we do all of our own in-house printing, which is good for two reasons. Number one, it brings our costs down. But number two, it gives us control, because before because there's always mistakes. It doesn't matter how good you do. A kid takes the pictures, puts it in their backpack. They get home to mom, they're all crinkled up.
Yeah.
It's our fault, right?
Right.
And we'll fix it. We always fix it. There's nothing that we won't ever fix. But again, that's a pain point that shouldn't exist. But before, when we were sending everything out, we'd have to take that, we'd have to reorder it, they'd do it, they'd ship it to us, and it's just
turnaround
big
was way
turnaround
bigger.
time.
Yeah.
Whereas now mom can call us, and if it's in town where we are, it's like, okay, we'll get it printed, come pick it up today, or I can drop it off in the mail, or we can take it to the school. Anyway, it's just
whatever you want. That's going to be easiest. Yeah. That's cool. Where do you see photography? Where do you see White Raven photography in 5 years?
What we're currently doing, I mean, the things that are changing in our industry are more, so like a lot of the schools are starting to adopt the key card. So like, because right now we do barcodes on the student ID cards, right?
Right.
And that's mostly, some schools are a little bit further ahead than others, but for the most part, that's for your library card to scan, and then sometimes your lunch. So but there's just a barcode that they've been doing, right? There's a lot of schools that are starting to move into the RFID, so it's less barcode and more of a
tap.
And so we're hybriding it right now. Like there's a handful of schools that will do, but they still need the ID. It's like a passport. When's the passport ever going to go? Or when's your driver's license ever going to go out of style? As long as they're still requiring those things,
right?
Even if it's required on a phone, which they're trying to do, right? You still need a picture, and then it's a question of, do you trust the picture that the kid takes?
Right.
Or that you are sent from someone, or do you trust your vendor, which is supplying you, you're able to match the information, right?
Yeah, it's the way to have, reliability through the chain. You have to make sure everything lines up.
So as far as the like security of continuing to do what we do, it's still there.
Yeah.
The one thing that in our industry, we go down to Vegas, they do a photography conference every year, and we go down there, and it's people for photography studios from all over the world, especially the United States, but we'll get like England and Australia. In fact, in England, they're like, it's against the law. So here we sell on speculation, which means we'll send an order form home, and then mom will order and then send the money on picture day with the kid, or they can go online and place their order. We take everybody's picture anyway, but we're just so used to ordering on speculation here, which just means that you're placing an order before you see the pictures.
Right.
You're like, I want this package. I don't care what it looks like. I know it's going to look good, or you assume or hope, you speculate that it's going to be good. And then that's the product, right? Well, I'm talking to a guy from London. I think it was London, someplace over in the UK. And he's like, I don't know how you guys get away with selling products that people don't see, because it's against the law for them to sell. So they have to put them online, and people have to order that way. And that's the way we're moving. And we prefer it that way as well. We're just not used to it yet. So we do a hybrid where people can send the order form, they can go online and order ahead of time, or they can wait until the picture's taken and see. Because we've gotten to the point, another thing that we tried to do that's been kind of fun, and I'm going to mix it up a little bit this next year as well. But one thing that Katie does that she's found, especially at the elementary level, loosen up the kids, because a lot of them are at that stage where they're like hearing the words and they're like tell them to smile. And so then they try to do the mechanics of a smile, but they don't really smile.
Yeah.
And so one of the tricks that she's learned, or that we've been doing that seems to work great, is she'll go through that, and then she'll say, make a funny face. And then they make a funny face. And usually after they make a funny face, if kids in line laugh, then they'll relax, and then they'll actually give us a good expression.
They'll actually smile.
But mom doesn't know that if she's ordering ahead of time, right?
Right.
And so when we put them online, we put all the pictures we take, and we'll usually take 3 to 5 or however many pictures. Some are funny, some are serious. Some have a closed mouth smile, some have a teeth smile, and mom knows her kid better than anyone, right? So she knows what a genuine expression looks like, or the one that she prefers. Because it always fascinates me. We'll go and pick the one that we think objectively looks the best, and then mom comes back and picks a different one because mom knows best, right? It's her kid. But when they can see him online, then it just gives them the option to be like, oh my heck, that's the funny face. And then sometimes order more than just one pose.
Sure.
So anyway, long-winded answer is until we get to a point where the schools are no longer requiring photo IDs for whatever level, and not just the yearbook, but like I said, their ID cards, especially.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think what we do will change. There might be a level. We've started seeing a little bit level change of where digital is now more popular.
Okay.
Because
So
it
like
used to be,
emailing pictures rather than printing
yeah,
them.
some people will just order digital
Mm-hmm.
instead of the prints. Most of our packages, we like to do a hybrid where because again, my wife, she grew up in the age of prints. She's a photographer. She likes being able to hold something, so she prefers a print. So I think we always will offer prints as an option, especially where we can print them in house. Now we can control the texture and the feel and what they look like.
Yeah.
So they turn out a little bit better. Again, we think we're always comparing us with the other competitors.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, I think it's here to stay, at least for as long as we're still in the game, which our youngest is 8. So he's 10 years away from.
So until he's out of high school.
That's when the pivot would happen, if there was a pivot to happen, or if she continues on, who knows, but
Gotcha.
But I mean, as long as, like I said, we're built to work.
Yeah.
If it's not that, we would do something else. But for right now, that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So you have photography and you have the gyms, and then just recently you've talked a lot about the Hive Group, which basically is like the umbrella that everything sits underneath, right? All your businesses sit underneath.
Yeah, that's my weak attempt to pretend that I am a Warren Buffett. I'm not even close, but he's like got his portfolio, the Berkshire Hathaway, right? And then Berkshire Hathaway owns all these different things.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I need to own different. I'm not good at it. It's more of an ego play than anything at this point.
Well, but also when you have multiple fingers of things and they're not the same, like I would understand if you were like, well, we do photography and we also do like printing and we do print shop stuff, like you can FedEx and we can, scan and copy or whatever. Like most of that's kind of gone the way of the wind now. But if it was all in the same vein of like a deliverable physical paper aspect, something, I could see not changing things. But where you have photography and then you have gyms, and then you have all these other businesses that are cropping up, like it makes sense to have an umbrella to me.
Yeah,
because you got to manage things,
And that's the idea. But like I said, I think there is something to be said about focus. One of the pitfalls of being an entrepreneur, I feel, is you have, at least me, you have shiny object syndrome, where it's really easy to get distracted, right? You're like a quick start at something, and then you see greener grass over there,
right?
And you're like, oh, maybe we should do that greener grass. And then you realize it's all fertilized with the same crap. It's just different crap over there than it is over here, right?
Right. Well, but I think that's like the key to, well, that's what everyone thinks entrepreneurship is like you have to catch the right thing at the right time to have the right niche to be successful. And I don't think that's been the case for a lot of businesses. I think most businesses is just hard work and perseverance.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I don't feel like if you would have asked me at any stage of my life before we were doing what we're doing today, if I would be doing today what I'm doing today, no, zero.
Yeah.
But it's exactly like you said. It's like you pick a thing and you work at that thing, and then the thing either works or it doesn't, and you're either smart enough to pivot. This is the difficult part. If you were to ask me what the most difficult part about business is knowing when to pivot and knowing when to push.
Right. Because
push is like you've got a problem and it's solvable and you just have to stay the course. But that's the whole thing of the outsized returns, right?
Yeah.
If you continue to do it, because you're like seriously gambling, you're taking a risk. You have zero idea if the thing that you're trying to will into existence, this business, is going to work. And so if it gets to a point where, and there's lots of points where, and this is why I said with Katie, like the business is at the level that Katie allows the business to be. But if we ever level up, then the business can be more, right?
Yeah.
But until that happens, the business is going to stay where it is. And so people get to that ceiling and they're either content there, or if you're not content there, that's the thing. You push or you pivot.
Right.
And you push because you're trying to get to the next level, or you don't know what's going to happen. Anyway, I wish there was an easy, like in school, where it's like, this is the question, this is the answer.
Yeah.
draw this
like an
straight line.
equation that will tell you
Here's the straight
this is
line
exactly
to get
what
to
you
the
need to
answer.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not real life.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
not even close.
Especially not in entrepreneurial stuff like that. I feel like that's, like you said, it's got to be the most difficult thing.
Well,
'Cause
part
how
of
do you
it,
know?
like, I really think, like, for me, a lot of it was rewiring myself and unlearning the things that I was taught. Like, I really think that that's a hindrance because, like I said, in school, if we go there, like, school teaches you, it seems like they teach convergent thinking, meaning there's all these possible answers and there's only one possible, or there's all these possible questions, only one answer.
Right.
And so they're converging to the one answer, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in reality, there's like one question and 1,000 possible. So it's divergent
Yeah.
thinking, right?
Yeah.
But because we're taught convergent thinking, like, here's the question, this is the one answer. And not only is it the one answer, it's the only answer. And if you get it wrong, it's going to haunt you the rest of your career in high school. You're going to get bad
Right.
grades. You can't reverse it. And then you're going to go to college. You're not going to get, and it's going to bad grades and you can't
Yeah.
reverse it. And so it paralyzes you to the point where you're like, I don't want to make a wrong decision. So I really want to make sure that I'm making the right decision. And that's 100% the opposite of what business is or entrepreneurship is.
Yeah.
Because you take the thing and the quicker you can act, the better you are. But school teaches us the exact opposite. It's like, take your time, make sure you're correct, don't get it wrong,
Yeah.
and then choose, and then jump. And it's like, I see that all the time with people that they're like, I want to do this thing, but I don't know yet. And so they're trying to gather all this information before they make a move. And it's like, just move.
That's me in a nutshell.
Making the move is the learning. That's how most people are. It's
Yeah.
not a
Yeah.
criticism on anybody.
Sure.
It's just definitely, I mean, you look at it with immigrants. I don't know if you've noticed this, but it seems like there's an outside number of immigrants that are business owners that are doing well to people that are not natively
Right.
born here.
Yeah.
And what's the
But
disconnect? They have nothing to lose and they just try. They just start.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then you learn
but I
through
think
the-
it's also, like we were talking earlier, like this pigeonholed concept that we have, that we teach our kids. Like, school is a construct that teaches you how to be the best employee. You know, school doesn't teach you how to be an entrepreneur, even though they have entrepreneurial classes and they have like financial freedom classes and stuff. Like, it's all bullcrap in my experience, at least. Like, even I have kids in high school now, so I'm just starting to get into it now. But like, talking to my nieces and nephews that have gone through it and stuff, like, they're not teaching you what lessons you've learned. And it's not like you're there as an entrepreneur saying, look, these are the things you need to be looking at. And it doesn't matter what the process that you want to sell is or the product you want to sell is. These are the concepts you have to learn. You know, all it is like somebody saying, well, you're going to show up to class at this time, and you're going to go to lunch at this time, and you're going to be back to class at this time, and they're going to leave at this time. You're going to go home and do your homework because that's what you have to do. Then you're going to come back to school and do it all again tomorrow. And even though I'm going to teach you things that are called entrepreneurship, it's not, they're still ingraining in the child this concept of 9 to 5 work for someone else to make someone else money. You know, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that opened my eyes so much to what education actually is in America. You know, it makes me sad. And so I'm like, how do I teach my kids? You know, obviously I struggle with it because I wasn't a good student in the aspect of good grades all the time. But as a good student in that, I've always been able to do what I'm supposed to do enough, you know, especially when I was in the military. It was like that's like, if there was anything, it's a step down in teaching you, you know, like the process of how to become entrepreneurial, because even though they give you a lot of tools to be a free thinker, they also ingrain in you that you have to follow orders, you know, and that your schedule is made for you 100% of the time. Like, you never get to pick what you're doing. And so.
Sounds like marriage.
Yeah.
That was my marriage. Like, what am I doing today, Katie?
So it just like, I just don't know. Like, that's what I'm trying to break in my mind, is I'm trying to break this cycle of do what you're told to do and do the thing that you've always known was the right thing, the thing that I was taught to do, you know, like, not to, you know, it's neither right or wrong, but I could tell my parents weren't always happy with me that I didn't go to college. You know, they, for a long time, thought I should be going to college, even though at the time, my sister, who was married, and her husband both had a degree, and I made more than both of them combined at my job. My parents were still like, you know, when are you going to go back to school? And I'm like, what are you not seeing here? Like, obviously that's not where I'm going to be.
Yeah.
You know, now they're fine with it and it's not a problem. probably because most of them are dead.
At least I don't think it's a problem. You can't ask them, but
but it just is, I don't know, like, and so I think with immigrants, they don't have that ingrained thought process.
Yeah.
They probably didn't grow up like that. They probably grew up working, like what you're saying clicked on your mission. And maybe prior, because you were a roofer, I don't know, roofing does weird things to your mind. So it totally could have been from the roofing.
yeah.
But, they had that awakening. But like, I feel like foreign people a lot of the time, except unless they're like the more Western a nation, the less they have the awakening. But they'll be awakened to how life actually functions.
Yeah. We're at a stage where life is so easy. It's too easy.
Yeah.
And I find that there's a lot of people are too smart for their own good in today's world. And that's why we're inventing. Like it used to be, you had to wake up and pray that it was going to rain so your crops would grow so you could feed your family. Yeah. Or that you weren't going to be eaten by some...
Yeah, that there wasn't going to be a wolf that attacked you in the middle of the field.
Like you were preoccupied with life, like surviving.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that anymore. And this is the thing that blows, like, you're probably never going to go without shelter, probably never going to go without food in today's world, right?
Yeah.
It'd be really hard. I mean, my kids go to the school lunch or the park lunch.
Yeah, park lunch during the summer.
Like super hard to have your basic needs not met in the world that we live in today. And so, I don't know. It just blows my mind that the denominator that I think I see or that I've noticed, and as I reflect back on me, the only difference between me and maybe someone else is the fact that I tried. I just did.
Right. Yeah.
Because learning is in the doing, not in the books. I had this opinion. I was watching the NBA finals. I haven't watched basketball for a while. I got turned off to it, but this finals is incredible. They're like returning back to what NBA basketball should be. I was like, oh, these guys are awesome. Like they're going after it. Like they're trying to, but I was trying to correlate it with like the people that live in today's way where we're too smart for our own good and we're trying to invent things now because we don't have to worry about the I hope it rains today. It's like, oh, I don't even know what a woman is. Or I like all this cerebral crap that's just, like I said, we're too smart for our own good. But I was trying to envision that with basketball. I was like, imagine if basketball or any sport for that matter, but I was just basketball because I was watching it. I was like, imagine if you were in a classroom to learn basketball. It's like, and this is how you make a layup, and this is how you shoot a free throw, and this is how you shoot but then that's it. It's like, okay, take the test. All right, how do I do a layup? Okay, A. Okay, how do I shoot a free throw? B. And then that's it, right? And you never put it into practice, or you never apply it. I feel like we're living in a world, entrepreneurs excluded, I guess, or people that are willing to try, maybe not even entrepreneurs, just people that are willing to work, because it seems like there's even less of those that are. But if you left it there, it's like, would you ever actually be able to make a layup in practice?
Right.
It's like the theory piece is the theory piece, and I'm more of like, I guess I'm in the stage where I'm just like, theory is fine, but why don't you put it into practice and validate the theory instead of just cerebraling around what you think the problem is, or why you can't jump, or why you can't make the move, or why you can't start, or why you can't try. And then, but I really feel like just in the trying, like that's it. Like, that's the secret sauce. Like it really is. Just trying. And then you'll learn real quick. Life will smack you around and you'll learn real quick if what you're trying is good or wrong, or how to pivot or not make that mistake again. But anyway, it's just in the trying. And I find the people that are willing to try are the ones that make progress, whatever that means. Yeah. Like it can mean 1,000 different things, right? But I had another thought that I was going to say, but I forgot it.
No, it happens. So Hive Group's the umbrella. Do you have any proposed new locations for gyms that you're going to be locking down soon, or anything that you?
So this year, so we're at the point where we really needed to focus on our systems. Because we were fragmented, not a ton, but when we picked up these 2 gyms up north, it kind of showed the cracks. Like we graded these ones down here in St. Pete and Sevier kind of together, and
Yeah. Like
How,
you had the same concepts for each one.
so we
and the
acquired
same
them and kept doing it, but then those
stuff.
ones up there were running the way they were running, and they were far enough removed that we didn't really integrate our systems, but we need to.
Right.
And so that's what we're focusing on this year, 2025, just to build our foundation a little bit better so that we have our systems of operations in place. We have a girl that John hired as a regional manager this year that's kind of going around to all the different locations to make sure that they're being run, have the support that they need.
Yeah.
But that's this year, really trying to focus on that. And then after we get that base dialed in, the goal is just to keep growing. I would like to be south. Like I said, I still have family that's down in St. George. So within the next 5 years, I'd like to have locations down that way. And then mostly at this point, like our growth, it's not, I don't look at it as growing to compete. I just look at it for now, for what we're doing is just growing to grow our network.
Yeah.
So that we can,
if you've built the ability to have a gym in a small town and make it function,
oh yeah,
you know,
part's
then
done.
Yeah, then you've already got most of southern Utah.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the thing is you can capitalize on these small towns if you already have the processes.
Yeah.
So
that's what hopefully this year is, just get that really dialed in so that moving forward, as we start bringing on new locations or doing new locations, it's as turnkey as it can be.
Yeah.
Right. So we know how to plug things in and how things go. But yeah, within the next 5 years, I'd like to be in St. George, hopefully sooner than that. But we're trying to, like I said, we're trying to get through this year with trying to get our foundation really dialed in, and our KPIs, which we've never tracked before. We're now starting to be like, oh, I guess we should track things. Because again, once we got our gyms up north, that's the first, because here it's kind of, like you said, there's not really competition.
Yeah.
We're just surviving in a small town, and that's enough. But up there we've got enough. There's more people and there's more options.
Yeah.
And so we're like, oh, we're in a place where we have to learn how to compete, which
got to be competitive a little bit up there. Yeah. And so now, and then you have the field house in Mount Pleasant. That, are you going to try and do any more with that moving forward? Or I know we've talked somewhat about some of the things you've talked about for configurations of changing things, but do you anticipate changes in that in the next couple of years?
So the reason we did the field house, we met with the city in Mount Pleasant like two years ago, maybe 3 years ago, just at their plan. I met with the city and I met with the school district, and because I wanted to know what their plan was on that front, because the city had just put in a pool, and I was like, okay, well, that's awesome, but what about a field house, like an indoor training facility that's not a gym? Because the gyms are kind of they're starting to lock them down more, because people are trying to go in there. That's the only space that they have, but they're not built for like a turf field would be.
Training sports.
Yes.
They're for training physically.
And so again, with our mentality of like, how do we provide a service to better the community? And selfishly, like, our kids are at that age where we want it for our kids. And that's kind of been the bug for us, is like, well, if we wait, then nothing's going to happen. Or if it does happen, it'll happen after our kids can use it, and then we're less motivated to try and do something. So anyway, we met with them just to kind of get a feel for where they were at, if it was on their radar, if it was something they were actively pursuing. And it basically came down to no, they weren't doing anything with it. Mostly funding. Again, small town, you got to prioritize where you're spending your money.
Yep.
So that's fine. And so we kind of left it, but then the field house that we did, the only reason that we were able to do that is because the property, we were able to acquire the property that had a building on it.
Right.
And we just converted the building. It used to be a boys' home, and then they did, as part of their therapy, they did equine therapy. And so they built that building as an indoor horse arena to be able to do their therapy sessions during the winter, because we get cold winters, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, when we were able to make a bid and acquire that property, that was the motivation. It was like, okay, we've got this building. We didn't build it with the intention of what we're using it for, but it was already there, and we were able to retrofit it.
Yeah.
Even still, I think I asked John, I think we were like, I think we were like $250,000 in, actually, I think he said 450, but that seems high to me, in renovating it to the point where where it is what it is
Right.
to even what we're using it for.
Well, I mean, turf isn't cheap, and the labor to put it in, I'm sure, isn't.
Yeah, and we've redid the air, we redid the heat, concrete. Anyway, but whatever. Anyway, so the point is, we put some money into it to even get it retrofitted to what we're using it for. And then before we started using it, we're like, this is freaking awesome. And then we get people in there, and we're like, if you start getting larger teams, and because you do soccer and you've been in there, you start getting larger teams with, I don't know, more than 15 or 20 kids maybe.
Yep.
It feels tight.
Yeah.
And then if you get like the high school, we were kind of geared towards the youth, but the high school, same thing. They need indoor facilities. So the baseball team used it this last winter because, again, the winter went really long and they needed a place to train. I mean, the other option is a hard basketball court, and that's not ideal. So we at least had some turf, but those kids are bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of them, but just the fact that they're bigger and stronger, it's like, okay, the facility is a little bit too small. So at the beginning of this year, one of the things that I was pursuing was a bigger space. I was like, okay, we've got property. We can put it right next to it, but we just need a bigger building. And we found one up north. It's still, nothing's materialized, and I don't know, I'm kind of losing faith that anything will materialize with it. But the guy that approached us, I think was a realtor. I think he's playing middleman. Mm-hmm. And the property was acquired by a developer who was going to tear down everything that was on there, which was a couple industrial metal buildings. Mm-hmm. And then he was going to build 300 or something apartment complexes or something. So his motivation was to tear down and build apartments. Last I heard, they were going through the zoning process, but again, I haven't heard anything, so I don't know if anything's going to materialize.
Sure.
But the point is, those buildings were going to be destroyed. And so the guy found out about us and he's like, hey, if you can come get this building down, you can have it. Pay for the cost to remove it, which would probably be $100,000 or something, is what he told us, because we had to remove the concrete and offload the stuff. And then we're looking into the logistics of like, okay, how do we get it down? How do we transport it? How do we get it up? And then in the meantime, the school district and the city put together, I think the school district spearheaded it because they got a new football coach who's awesome. I think he's going to do some great things for the school, for the boys especially. Seems like just a good guy. Seems like he's going to.
I've heard some good stuff about him. Yeah.
I've met him once, talked to him briefly, heard him talk. He seems like he seems like the coach that I would want. Mm-hmm. And anyway, I think it'll be good. But I think he spearheaded a lot of this because he says we need an indoor field house. Everyone else has them. He came from up north where they have
like a big school,
bucks.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
I think it was Bingham. So yeah, like money is not an issue for the people up there that it's not an issue for, and they're willing to contribute. And so that's where he comes from. And so then we come down here, and I think he's been spearheading that. And so the talks have started again after we had already, so I found out about that and I was like, well, shoot, if this is real, and if I would much rather the city do it or the school district do it, because it's going to live into perpetuity, and then they have other ways of being able to fund it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas us, privately, it's like, okay, well, we're going to pay for it. And then, I mean, we've got to figure out how to make it pay for itself, or at least get our money back. I mean, we're not in a position, I would love to be in a position where I'm just like, here it is. Right. We've got all the money in the world, but we're not there. So anyway, so they found out about it. And then, or I found out about them, and then we went and talked to them, and they said that they're going to try and do some kind of tax district. I can't remember what they called it, but to pass it around as a vote for the community to see if the community support would be behind it, and then it would increase some property tax maybe or something percentage.
Be able to get it.
Raise the money to be able to do it. So that's where we're at. So because of that, and because I haven't heard from these guys, I haven't really pushed it. We're kind of in limbo.
Right.
Because if they pull it off, which I would prefer, then we probably wouldn't do anything else up there as far as a bigger indoor turf area.
Yeah.
Which is what I would love to see in the area somewhere.
Yeah.
And again, our motivation to do it would be our kids could use it, and the space that we have now. It's like 10,000 square feet, which I think is probably the size of a full size normal basketball court, if we occupied the whole space for that.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so if we could have a bigger building that was dedicated just to turf, then I would convert that building into that.
Yeah.
And then you could do your pickleball and your basketball and your volleyball, just your hard court stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, so other than that, in the meantime, I don't know. We've talked about adding on to that building a little bit as is, just to create a little bit better, because we don't have, again, it was built as an outdoor horse arena.
Yeah.
So there's no restroom facilities. So we have a porta potty for right now, just for the emergencies that you need. But we've talked about building onto the north side of it to include bathrooms, locker rooms, a dedicated space for the batting cages. Because right now the batting cages that we have, you have to
go up and take them and put them down.
Yeah, because they're occupying the same space as the basketball court right now.
Yeah.
So it just, the hassle of that, which is fine. It's quick to do. Just somebody needs to do it.
Yeah.
So if we could have those dedicated in another spot that just stays up all the time,
right,
then that helps.
It also gives you another space that you can rent out for potential income.
Yeah. So that's on the roadmap. I don't know. It probably would have been on the roadmap for this year. We've talked about it pretty heavily, but we're doing an addition in Ephraim at our gym there. And it's, we're relying on some funds that aren't coming anymore.
Right.
And so we've been, it's going to be a little bit tighter year than we were expecting. So anyway,
long term. So you have that property out there where the field house is, and there's also a cabin where you're doing Airbnb for, it's like a larger building.
The Airbnb was because we didn't buy the property for the cabin, but it was there. So after we finished the field house, we're like, oh, what are we going to do with this?
Yeah. Do you anticipate, so I think there's like, 5 acres out there?
Total, there's 16.
16 total.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have any plans of moving the gym out there or anything? Like, are you planning to consolidate into one space on anything, or are you going to try and just do something different with it?
We've talked about it. Like, one of the things, if we did the field house, so the existing, we talked about doing half of it, the gym, and moving the gym. Because Katie would love to repurpose the existing gym in Mount Pleasant into a reception center. That was always her vision, because that's what the building lends itself to. It's got this grand yard.
Yeah.
It looks very temple-esque, if you will. Cause, I mean, not now because the landscaping's non-existent, but in her mind, like, create the landscaping, create this long yard, and then it's just this like Manti Temple rock building that could be cool.
It reminds me of that place in Logan. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's a place up there that's for receptions and stuff.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a great building up there for it, and that one's considerably bigger, but it's a bigger area, and everything. But yeah, it's a very similar concept where it'd just be like for receptions and for banquets and things like that.
Yeah, that's always been that was always the goal, but we've always needed to move the gym. But again, we're in a small area.
Yep.
There's not anything existing that's big enough like that we found. And so we'd have to build something, and the area just doesn't support building it unless we were to do something like that. So if we did a bigger field house, then the existing one we've talked about, we'd just repurpose that. Because our current gym here is 4,000 to 5,000 square feet probably. And if you moved into that other one, you're like, well, the building's 10,000. So you take all of it or part of it.
So you could bring everything into 4,000, and if you did an upstairs and that, there's enough room to do an upstairs in that still building, you could still have things upstairs and down, like, cardio up and weights down or something.
Sure.
So you could get a lot more footage out of it if you wanted. But I was just wondering if that was like any kind of like something you were heading towards, or if it was just like it'd be a great thing at some point.
Like I said, if this field house, the bigger one would have happened, then yes, we would have moved out there for sure. And if it does, then still probably, because right now in the current one, so we've got the gym, but then we've got, like I said, Katie's photography out of the upstairs, but we also started doing apparel. One of the things with White Raven Studio, because we're working in rural areas, is we've, again, going back to that, me assuming that everyone has everything figured out and people are dialed in.
Right.
I'm learning that each school, like the schools mix up their, like, I'm helping with the yearbook this year, or I'm new to it this year, or now I'm in charge of the student body officers and I need to get shirts for everybody. And it's like, well, where do you get them from? I don't know. They didn't tell me. And so there's a lot of like having to figure it out. For some people have been doing it forever and they're fine. But we're learning the more that we do this, there's a lot of just not knowing what to do or where to go. And so with Katie's studio, we've tried to be that piece to where we're already doing what we're doing picture wise, but then we brought in our printing. So now we do banners. We print pretty much anything flat we can print, right? So we try to provide printing services. And then, like I said, same thing with apparel. So those are all things that we say, hey, these are the things we do. If you want to utilize us, feel free. We give them a little bit of a break because
if they're bundling like with pictures, kind of, per se.
And so that was one of the things. Right now, that's all operating out of the same building.
Right.
So if the gym moved, that either, again, we convert it, and there's plenty of space in there where we can move into other places and still do the reception center like she wants.
Yeah.
But that's a consideration that we've looked at, because we can expand the apparel. Like, we're already tight. We just added a new printer, and those things are not cheap. I think we paid like $35,000.
They're also not small.
And they're not small. Yeah. Well, Bexy, John's wife, she's running in. She's awesome. Like, she's great. She's good at it. She pays attention to detail.
Which is nice.
She's good. She's actually a marathoner. That's one of the things that I like, the marathon. Like, when you say entrepreneurship and business, like, not everybody's going to do it. Somebody said once, I heard it and I really liked it. It's like, entrepreneurship or business is like a marathon. Everybody could do it. Probably everybody won't do it. And maybe some people shouldn't do it. Right? They compare it to a marathon, right? It's like, it's actually really good. I like that. But anyway.
Cool. So then so you got screen printing and sublimation and different things for apparel. And you do hats, and you do, pretty much anything you can print on, right?
Yeah. Yeah, she does. DTF is the big one, the new printer that we got. It's direct to film. So it used to be with screen printing. One of the problems with screen printing, the good and the bad of screen printing. The good is it's cheap.
Yeah.
Because the inks are cheap. The bad is it takes a long time to set up. You've got to burn screens. And then, and so if you're doing small runs, like if you came in like, me and my kids are going to go to Lake Powell. There's 5 of us, and we want a shirt that says Lake Powell 2025.
Right.
We're like, okay, it's not going to be economical for you because I've got to charge you the time it takes to create the screens.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're doing a small run, screen printing never really was a viable option.
Right.
At least with us. But once you did big runs, like 100 shirts or 200 shirts, it's like, okay, it's worth the time, because then you take the time to set up, and then the screen printing is quick. Quick and cheap. And it's the most economical way, but you have to do big runs,
right?
Big batches. The new machine that she bought is a printer, and they call it DTF, direct to foil. So it's basically like screen printing. It's not like screen printing in the sense that if anybody does screen printing, they'd argue with me forever. But basically it's a printer that prints on a film that adds glue to the back of the print, and then you press it on with a heat press. So that the advantage of that is it's a printer. So I can print one. You're like, I just want this one shirt.
Yeah.
Okay. Put it in, push print, comes out, does your thing. You press it on the shirt and it's done. If you ever go to those shows where they do like on demand shirts or hats, hats is probably the embroidery, or sometimes they have patches that they'll press on, but shirts, they're going to use some kind of this.
Right. Yeah. I've done that a few times at a conference where they'll have shirts in a lineup. You pick whatever you want and the size you want, and then they, but it's just a pre-cut out piece, like you're saying, and then they just stick it in.
So there's vinyl. That's the traditional way was vinyl. Mm-hmm. So that's what this is probably. It's just a piece of vinyl that's cut out and then it's pressed on with the glue. But DTF it's printed, so you can actually do the gamut of colors.
Right.
So it can look as like whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
In fact, that's one of the things that we're going to try and add. In fact, this next year, I told you we're going to try and do some different things with Katie's photography. One of the things I want to add, especially with AI coming on the scene and making things crazy and awesome. I took my boy, he loves Minecraft, like a lot of boys do, right?
Yeah.
And we took him to watch the movie and he loved it. And so then I took his school picture that we took and I put it in AI and I said, make him look like a Minecraft character. And it spit him out as a Minecraft character. And I was like, oh, heck, this is awesome. So then you see people with Minecraft shirts and I'm like, whatever, you're Minecraft. But imagine if it was the Minecraft shirt with your kid on it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like I would wear that. I wouldn't wear a Minecraft shirt because I don't care about it. But if it's Minecraft because my kid cares and it's him, somebody walking past is going to be none the wiser. Like, oh, Minecraft, whatever, right? But for me, I'm like, yeah, that's my boy.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
That's one of the things I want to try and implement this year with our school pictures is figure out whatever's culturally relevant at the time. Like right now, in fact, I told them maybe we should try in July to just do a test run with like anything that's family friendly. So like the Minecraft thing, Lilo and Stitch came out. People seem to like the How to Train Your Dragon.
Yep.
So any of those, so it's like take your thing and like, here's you as a How to Train Your Dragon character.
Yeah.
And then you can order it on a t-shirt, right?
Cool. Yeah.
And so anyway, that's something that I want to expect because we have the equipment now and the machines. So there's the direct to foil, but there's also the sublimation that you talked about.
Yeah.
And sublimation is similar in the sense it prints, but it prints an ink that evaporates with heat. So it only adheres to certain types of material. And I think the material is polyester, because when you heat up polyester, the pores in the polyester expand. And then the ink evaporates at the same time the pores are expanding, and then it gets sucked into the shirt. So then instead of putting like something on the shirt that you can feel, it becomes part of the fabric.
Right. This one's vinyl. But I have some
black you can't do. The only way you could do that one is if they sublimated the black and not the...
Right.
Because sublimation only works on light colors.
Yeah.
The darker you go, because you can't sublimate white.
Right. So
that's the limitation of sublimation. So the materials are different. Like you're kind of limited in that regard. Yeah. But the shirt would be better. In fact, I told Bexy that I think we want to try and do sublimation this first run just because it would be a better feel, like a better...
Yeah, I really like sublimated shirts.
Oh, I do
They're
too.
my most favorite ones to wear.
100%, because it doesn't feel like anything except the shirt that you're wearing, because the design blank. It gets absorbed into the fabric. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, that's one of the things that I wanted to try. But with the DTF as well, one of the things that we haven't done, because we've only been doing DTF for like, maybe it's been over a year. I can't remember, but one of the things that's really popular and trendy right now, not trendy, but popular, is people can go online, they can order the foil. So you come and you say, I want to, whatever you like, whatever this design is, this Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Just kidding. I saw this thing, this was how to offend every sci-fi character. There's a picture of like Jean-Luc Picard with like a Star Trek or a Star Wars saying with like all these different clashing things. But anyway, if you wanted to order that Star Wars ship, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't know how, and you didn't want to buy the shirt, you could go online. This is what hopefully we'll have set up within the next year. You could submit the thing, we could print the thing, and then we can mail you the transfer. And then if you had a heat press at home, which surprisingly a lot of people have heat presses, especially if you have a Cricut machine, those are super popular. So Cricut machines and heat presses kind of go hand in hand. But anyway, they're cheap. They're like a couple $100 online to buy them.
Right.
But anyway, even if you didn't have one, you could just use a normal iron and just apply heat and pressure and just iron it on. But that would be an easy, cheaper way to get designs that you can
custom shirts for whatever.
Then you've got your own shirt. Yep. You're like, I want to put it on this shirt. And you can.
And you're no longer restricted by area.
Yeah.
You can send them anywhere.
Which is one of the things that I would like to, at some point before I die, figure out. Because right now, all the businesses that we do are service-based businesses, meaning geographically, you have to be able to get to me.
Right.
And the way the world works now is, if you can market and advertise to the world, obviously you're competing with more people, but yeah, the world is your oyster.
But there's ways that you can get around that. Like, there's a lot of things you can offer, So, but okay. So then that's the clothing line stuff.
Yeah.
And then you also have a daycare.
Yes.
Is that going to grow anymore, or are you planning on doing anything with that in the future?
We've talked. So the daycare, same thing. Like, so the reason we did the daycare twofold. Number one, we thought it would be an interesting piece to be able to add, because most of the people that were helping Katie with her photography business in the beginning were moms.
Right.
And one of the one of the pieces that we had to sometimes figure out is if they had kids, like what to do with their kids if they were trying to help. And if the kids weren't in school, then they'd either have to wait till the husband got home to come help or whatever. There's 1,000 scenarios. So we're like, again, I wonder if I could solve that problem.
Right.
So what if we had a daycare, like a way for people to drop their kids off, so then it increases our recruiting pool, because now it's like, it's not an excuse that you've got a kid, not if you don't want it to be, right? Yeah. We have a solution to try and see if we can help with that. And then, and then obviously again, because we live where we live, we really felt like it was a needed service. We acquired it from a lady, so we didn't start it. It was one that she had started, ran it really well. did awesome. She had a health scare or health issues that came up to the point where she no longer could keep up physically with the demands of running the daycare. And so I don't remember how she contacted Katie or how it came up, but anyway, when she was talking to us, she's like, I'm either going to close it down or if you guys want to take it over and keep it going. And we just, at that time, we were like, oh, I think it's good for the community. We should try to keep it if we can.
I mean, I'm not a huge proponent of kids being away from home, but in today's, like, everything, it's impossible, you know, like you can't buy a house as a young couple without having two incomes,
which is horrible, but that is the reality.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And most of the people, like, to be honest, I mean, there is some of that. And so we've got Megan is the manager, the girl that runs, she's doing awesome. She'd be the one that would answer all the questions, but most of the time, the people, I think that, and the reason I say it's beneficial here is because not everybody has dual incomes.
Yeah.
So like not all of them are husband and wife, or we both have to work. A lot of the people that we have are single moms.
Single parents, yep.
And then it's like, how do you survive? Because you don't have anyone, even if you wanted to rely on at that stage in their life, right?
And that's how I grew up, single mom the whole time. And she always worked. And so it was, you know, we worked, or we went home on our own, me and my sister. We walked home from school. I mean, not often, we rode the bus a lot, but we'd walk to the gas station. We'd walk to the bus stop. We'd ride the bus to someone else's house or whatever we were going to do. And that was all, you know, young elementary age.
Yeah.
Because that was just what we had to do. And she couldn't have afforded daycare probably at the time. So yeah, I don't, the circumstances dictate that you have to have something available to people, because unfortunately we don't live in a world where everyone can just stay home and be parents all the time.
Sure.
So I completely agree with it.
And I genuinely feel like people do the best that they can. I think one of the life hacks for me that has put me in a place of being, another thing that allows me to do what I do, and I kind of teased earlier that I have a horrible memory, is I'm too busy focusing on what I'm trying to do that I have zero energy or bandwidth or anything left over to try and navigate or figure out what you're doing and why you're doing it. Right.
Yeah.
So like for most people, I guess the hack that I mentioned earlier that I try to bring up is I try not to judge people, and I try to be curious.
Yeah.
So rather than like, oh, you shouldn't take your kid, or you should try harder, it's like, I wonder what they're doing, or wonder what circumstances have created this situation where even something as simple as like when I first started driving, and and maybe it was a Utah thing, but you get cut off, right? And road rage, and you're like, you stupid, like you that's an instant of judgment. Like you cut me off because you hate, because you're a jerk, because you're like, whatever, right? Like that mentality versus I guess they got to get home quicker than me, or I wonder what happened to them, or I wonder if they saw me, or what, like just the curious.
There must be a pregnant lady in the back seat or something, because you're in a hurry.
Yeah, exactly. So you flip the script so that it changes your mindset, so that you go from this place of like scarcity or like judgment to like curiosity and abundance, and like, and I feel like that's like what a life hack too, to help you again back to that, like pigeonholed into the certain way of thinking. It's like, is this the way that we have to think?
Right. Yeah.
Because it's that curiosity piece, right? It's like, so if you can exercise that muscle. So when my kids do it, because they do, like the brother or the sister does something that the other one doesn't like, they instantly get mad. And so it's like, well, you're exercising your patience muscle.
Yeah.
So let's recognize what we're doing, and then figure out how to exercise, put in the reps,
right,
so that we can,
Yeah. It wasn't until I was rather old before I started thinking that way, specifically with road rage. There was a lot of times where I could be curious about things, but road rage, that was one that
that's just an easy one to point out, because I think more people experience it, even like the politest, nicest, like whatever, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, where did that come from?
Well, I got cut off.
Yeah.
So there's that.
You jerk.
Yeah. Okay, so that is that, and then we had the drink shack. That's the last one, right?
So the drink shack, so that's on the same property as the daycare.
Yeah.
And that was to try and subsidize the daycare, because the daycare doesn't really make money.
It's more of a service than it is a
And
business.
yeah, and that I don't know. These are hard again because we're in a small town and we're we choose to keep them open, even though we dip into our pockets almost every month to keep them open.
Right.
And so we thought that the drink shack would be a good thing to subsidize the daycare so that we could stop dipping into our pockets to keep it open. But it's turned out that it's about the same as the daycare. and so we've just kind of relegated it to, we just live in a small town. There's just not enough people.
Well, I mean, it's hard. That's kind of why I brought up the whole aspect of being in a business that's necessary for life versus one that's not, because in a small town, like, you already have a small audience, and then you're going to have an even smaller portion of that audience that's going to look for things outside of what's required.
Yeah.
You know, and so like the gym, fortunately, we've become, this is going to sound kind of rude, but like sickly as a people physically enough that we've realized we have to do something with our bodies to make sure we stay healthy. And so I think that's really helped a lot with the gym aspect. But yeah, you know, I think it's difficult having any of these things that you have because they're all extra for someone. You know, it's like you're saying, they have to choose to want to come to you to purchase your products. So,
and the drink shack has been one too, and it's been a couple of years, I think, since we've had it. We tried to start during COVID. COVID happened and we stopped. And looking back, we're like, oh crap, that was probably the best time to be open because everyone was
out there was talking anybody.
Yeah. But one of the things we've done, and we've kept it open year round, but again, we have hard winters here, and people don't go. I mean, there's still people that show up, but not like in the summertime.
Yeah. I'd imagine this is your busy, like you're starting to get into the busy period.
Yeah. When it's warm outside, people want a cold drink, then yes, this is the best time. But so we've talked about, do we close it in the winter? We'll see what happens this year. We try not to, because we like maybe it's just us being, again, our egos are narcissistic in the sense that we like to feel like we're providing jobs for kids, right? Because I would like, we look at it as ourselves, like, I wish somebody would do this for us, or I would like it for my kids. And so there's that thing that tugs on our heartstrings of like, we close it down, and again, it's not anything that's life-changing. It's not like this is going to be the career, but for someone that's going to school, I mean, it's a job. It's a good way to get your feet wet.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. We always have these back and forths. We have our monthly meeting with our bookkeeper, and she's like, oh, you guys only had to pay $1,500 this month to keep it open. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's
good.
Good. I hope our people appreciate it, but
yeah.
Anyway, but
I'm sure they do. Yeah.
I mean, again, it's fine. It is what it is. And if it ever gets to a point where it becomes super, super, super problematic for us, then, I mean, we'll probably do something about it. But for now, and this is the thing that Katie and me talk about all the time. I feel fortunate that we're in a position where we can help.
Yeah.
Even at the small level that we are, or that we feel like we are. Maybe other people don't feel like we are, but at the level that we feel like we're contributing to the community through the gym, through her studio, through the daycare, like all the things, we really feel like we're community minded.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of our focus of like, is this something that's going to benefit the community?
Right.
And then if it is, and if we can pull it off, then we'll try, and some things we can make work and some things we can't. But like this field house that the school district's trying to pull off right now is a perfect example of, we were down the road actively working on and pivoting, pushing until this happened. I'm like, okay, if you guys really are going to pull this off, I hope you will. I will support it. And so we kind of let off the gas a little bit.
Right.
I hope they pull it off.
I mean, last I heard, it didn't sound good, but I'm not up on the conversations that.
Well, I think, and I don't know, I only went to the one meeting, and the one meeting that I did go to is because I think one of the strategies that they were trying to employ was all the mayors from the North St. Pete cities. Mm-hmm. I think they were trying to get them to contribute funds. Maybe I'm misremembering, but for whatever reason, I feel like they were trying to get them to commit funds to contribute. But then I think like Mount Pleasant, because it would be in Mount Pleasant, right?
Yeah.
And I think Mount Pleasant City has kind of experienced that to a certain degree right now with the pool.
Yep.
To where I don't know if it was explicitly expressed in the beginning that they're like, all the cities are going to help or if they just hoped that they would help, or after it was built, they're like, okay, we need your help.
Right.
I don't know how that played out, but all I know is they're shouldering the burden. And I think they said the numbers are public, and I don't know the numbers exactly, but I want to say, I think they said it brought in $400,000 last year, and it cost $700,000 to run.
Yeah, I knew they were pretty substantially in the hole from it last year.
Yeah, and he said
I don't want to see it go away.
Well, exactly, and that's the reason that. So if you've heard negative things about, like, as far as Mount Pleasant supporting it, like population wise, yes, but if the city is like, it's kind of like the fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, because it's like, yeah, we'll do it, and then it turns into another one of those.
Right.
I can see how that might be the sentiment, but from what I understand with the school district, if they're trying to do and I can't remember the term that they use, but some kind of like a special district, maybe they called it, where it's that thing that they put out for a vote, or they get signatures and they get enough people to approve it, and then it allows them to do like a property tax increase, or maybe some kind of special extra tax increase. I'm not sure exactly how it works.
For a certain amount of time or something.
Yeah, something along those lines. So if they can pull that off, then maybe it's a different story. So I think they're kind of approaching it from, anyway, all angles, trying to figure out how to do it. But they're definitely the ones that if somebody's going to pull it off, I think they should, because like I said, it would live into perpetuity. Like, cities don't go anywhere, school districts don't go anywhere, private parties do, like, at some point. But it would be, I think, a super good win for the community if we could pull it off. So
yeah, well, I mean, you look at North St. Pete sports, and it's been a struggle, and it's not. I don't feel like it's anything that has to do with because we're just a small community, because there's other small communities that have a very successful program. So, but I do think it directly correlates to funds and allocation of funds based off of team, and desire to coach or to have coaches and stuff like. And this is just me speaking from my short experience of my kids in high school, and then what I remember from when I was in high school. But it just seems like it's we have a lot of potential to have something great if we want to. We just have to be willing and ready to want to do that.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
I think Josh Dykes is doing a lot with that, and hope to have him on here to talk about it.
Yeah, I think he's the one. Actually, he put us in touch with. Yeah, I can't remember, but he's been. Yeah, it seems like he's doing a lot of good things. He's getting involved. He's motivated, and he's great. In fact, when I met with him, he invited us to one of the meetings that they were having. I can't remember what it was for. I thought the meeting was to talk about a field house before we had our field house.
Oh yeah.
And I thought he was trying to get people together to pull that off, but he was actually doing more the team side of things and not the facility side of things. He was trying to get stronger involvement with that.
That's what I've seen, is he's focused on team.
Kind
of building the team aspect of stuff.
And so, and I told him, I'm like, you're great at that. That's a piece that I'm not good at, like the pulling people together piece.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like if we had the team, like if our teams were successful, then people are a lot more willing to put time and effort into something like facilities. They're like, well, our team's so good, but imagine how good they could be if we had facilities, and you know what? You're probably right. Maybe we should put some money towards that, or some time, or some effort of, some variety.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah. I think coming at it from both sides is going to be the best option, but I think you have to have both. The people pushing for the facility along with people pushing for the teams to get it to grow.
Yeah, I agree.
So that covers all of the business right now in the Hive group.
I mean, there's some other little auxiliary things that I've done. Like, we started a nonprofit called the Heart of Utah Foundation.
Okay.
And it's designed. So the idea behind it was to help facilitate youth team building. So along these same lines.
Okay. But
the goal for us in the beginning is we wanted to be able to because it felt like, and again, I don't know if what we're doing is the best way to do it or the right way to do it, but it just felt like people are asked to sponsor or donate for teams, and that's fine. But when you add a nonprofit into the mix, it seems like there was some tax benefits that were available.
Right.
And there's some organizations like the hospital, for instance, that won't even contribute or sponsor or donate unless it's a nonprofit that's involved.
Right. Yeah.
And so we set up a nonprofit called the Heart of Utah Foundation. Heartofutah.org, I think, is my website. I can't remember, but it was basically, it was designed in conjunction with the field house. Because one of the things we noticed with the field house right away is people, again, where we live, small town, rural Utah, economically depressed. Like I think it's the poorest or second poorest county in the state.
Yeah.
At least those are the numbers I've heard. I haven't looked into it to verify that or whatever. But anyway, needless to say, people here don't have money like in some other places, like the bigger cities, right? And so one of the things we thought, because with our field house, we're like, well, we would love to just offer it for free, but unfortunately we have costs, we have expense that go along with it. So we've charged for it, right? Because it's a private facility.
Yeah.
But the thing we run into is not everybody can afford to pay to use the facility, especially teams, especially coaches that are volunteering their time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the parents are already paying. And then it's like, you have to pay more to use the facility. And so anyway, the Heart of Utah was basically designed to see if we could figure out a way to funnel funds for that type of programming.
Like youth sports.
So yeah, youth sports, youth development.
Yeah.
And it didn't have to be specifically for the field house, but that's kind of why we did it, is so that we could help. So like we've got some business owners or some parents that have the funds and the ability, and they're like, oh, I can afford to do this. So I would like to do this. And then we can allocate that towards, okay, your team is involved with this. So now your usage time is deducted from this and you get the tax benefits of donating to a nonprofit, right?
Right, right.
Or we've also thought, because with our facility, because it's not part of the gym, but it's affiliated with the gym. We call it 180 Fieldhouse. But because we have a gym in Richfield, for instance, but we don't have a field house in Richfield, we thought people could still donate, and then we'd allocate their funds. So it's like, I'm coaching a softball team and we want to do a tournament in Mesquite, but we don't have the ability right now. You just go around and you fundraise or you make the parents pay, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I don't know if this is any different, because I'm not a tax person. I know I tried to know the tax that my accountant tells me so that we can pay as little as we have to. But as far as like the logistics of it, I'm not super familiar. But the thought was that you could donate through the nonprofit the same way, get the tax benefits, and then we could allocate it towards that group. And then that group, the coach could use the funds for whatever he wanted.